Oh,
we do.
I sent him my link. Poor Steve, I changed your name. Can you go in and change your
Okay,
name?
sure. All right. Okay.
He didn't receive the link, so
All right.
he emailed me and I sent it to him.
Okay.
Okay, so when I click on Councilor Di Maria's phone number, it says merge with video. If I do that, will we be able to see her? Does anybody know? Do we try?
So
All right. What do you think, City Clerk?
where are we at now? So Jadine, it says you're the host. Is that you? Yeah, that's you. You're the host now.
I'm the host, and I go over to the panelist column, and I see Councilor Di Maria's phone number. I click on more, and it says rename, put on hold, merge with video. Do you think if I click merge with video, we'll be able to see Councilor Di Maria?
Is she not? Is she doing it from her phone?
Yeah, I can't get in. Should I try it? Should I try another way? I mean, I tried
I
this.
say try the merge.
Let me try it. Let me hit this button.
Hold on, Councilor Di Maria, do you have the app on? Do you have an Apple phone?
Yes.
Do you have the app on your Apple phone for Zoom?
No.
Oh, okay.
You can merge the video.
Try to merge.
Sorry.
No, I just that you could have, that would have been probably a little bit easy, but go ahead, try to merge.
So when I click on this, oh, merge is gone. Move. Something happened. So it no longer says merge with video. It just says rename, put on hold, and remove.
Does Debbie want me to send her another invite? Will that work?
Yeah, why don't we try that and then I'll do it the normal way. I tried it 3 times and it wouldn't let me in. So I said, well, I got to get on. It was like 7:01. So I just used the dial.
Councilor Di Maria, Greg is having issues signing on himself. So maybe that's why you weren't able to get on the normal way that you get on. We all just got on this video.
Correct. Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay.
So maybe if you try what you were doing before, it'll now let you in.
Okay, I'm going to hang up then. I'll be right there.
All right, we'll wait for you.
Get rid of this.
Okay, couple more minutes. All right, and everybody else is here.
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, there you
Thank
go.
you. Sorry.
No.
Is Dave Kamel still here? Council Kamel, you still here? You shut your video off. Just in case. Oh, he's here. Okay, that's fine.
Yep. Okay.
No, I just want to make sure there was no technical difficulties.
Okay. All right. Everyone's here. It is 7. Oh, what time is it? 7:05. We're going to start the meeting. Council will come to order. All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of our veterans, servicemen and women, and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. You may be seated. Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Anderson here.
Kamel.
Not here.
Condon.
Condon here.
Crow.
Here.
Di Maria.
Di Maria here.
Linehan.
Linehan here.
Murphy.
Murphy here.
O'Malley.
Valley here.
Spatafora.
Spatafora here.
Winslow.
Winslow here.
Pika.
Pika here.
All accounted for.
Great. Under the provisions of the open meeting law, for those of you in attendance, I did not receive any emails. Did you, City Clerk, to record this evening's meeting? Oh, is he frozen? Oh, there you go. City Clerk, did you receive any meetings to record?
I did not, but I think John Mayora might have sent something to Patty.
Okay. Okay, so John Mayara is recording this evening's meeting. MATV should be recording this evening's meeting, and the City of Malden for their YouTube site should be recording this evening's meeting. So just be aware, there will be audio and video recording of this evening's meeting. First order of business.
Nathaniel Cramer, Assessor, will appear before the council to hold a tax classification remote public hearing. It's paper 387-20, order that the city council adopt a residential exemption of 30% and a residential factor of 1.75 or 0.8999 for fiscal Watt 2021 tax rate.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Cramer.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I'm going to try to share my screen here. I have a PowerPoint presentation. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right, this is very, let me fix these. Very a weird angle. Okay. So, good evening. This is the City of Malden's fiscal year 2021 classification presentation. My name is Nate Cramer. I'm the Director of Assessments for the City of Malden. Tonight, we need to select a minimum residential factor and decide whether to grant a residential exemption. Okay. So for the minimum residential factor, a residential factor of 1 would yield a single tax rate of $10.94 per thousand. This year's tax levy is $98,255,537. So the value, that's the revenue produced by the value of $8,984,255,368. So a single tax rate would be $10.94. Chapter 200 allows communities to select a factor less than 100, thereby shifting more of the tax burden onto the commercial, industrial, and personal property class. Historically, Malden has chosen a maximum allowable shift factor to afford residential taxpayers a lower share of the tax burden allowed by state law.
Well, I apologize. Would you mind maximizing it so it's the full screen?
No, not
Like-
at all.
I think if you go to slideshow,
Yeah, it's blocked by the Zoom toolbar.
Middle left. Middle upper left.
There we go. No, it was blocked by the Zoom
and
toolbar.
then current slide. Second from the left.
How's that?
Better, yeah.
Great.
Better?
That's so much better.
Now I have it on both of my screens. So this slide shows the minimum residential factor options. So it just shows the different shifts that, and we can shift anywhere between 1 and 1.75. Here are just some examples of what other percentages would look like. So 1, as I said in the previous slide, would equal a tax rate of $10.94 per thousand. A 1.25 shift would equal a $13. I'm just noticing an error in that shift. It would be $10.94 for residential and commercial on that first line. So a 1.25 shift would be a tax rate of $13.21 for residential, $13.68 for CIP, commercial, industrial, personal. Similar for 1.5, it would be a $12.75 tax rate for residential, $16.41 for commercial, industrial, and personal. the bottom line is the max shift that we can apply, and that is what the Board of Assessors is recommending, which would result in a tax rate for the residential taxpayers of $12.30 and a commercial rate of $19.15. So here, these are the estimated tax amounts for a residential taxpayer. The average single-family value for fiscal 21 is $629,649. There you'll see the shifts again. The estimated bill that you see does not include the residential exemption. So that's what the bill would be if there was no exemption. That's 7745. The difference between no shift at all and a 1.75 shift saves residential taxpayers $856 a year. And then this is the same idea, but for commercial taxpayers with the shift, the average tax bill. The average value is for a commercial property is $944,337, and the max allowable shift would result in a average tax bill for a commercial taxpayer of $18,084. So this is echoing. I'm sorry. So this is what the board is recommending. The max allowable shift, which would result in a $12.30 residential rate, $19.15 commercial, industrial, personal rate. These rates could change slightly during the approval process, but I think that's pretty much where they're going to fall. So the residential exemption. Getting a lot of echoes here. I don't know if it's a siren.
Could you mute one of your videos? Thank you.
Malden has a residential exemption. We can adopt up to a 35% exemption. Historically, since 2008, we have 2008, I believe, was the first year. 2008 was the first year Malden adopted the residential exemption, and it's been a 30% exemption that whole time. There are only 14 communities statewide that have this exemption. The amount of the exemption in fiscal 20 was $2,261.21. Of the 12,859 residential properties in Malden, about 8,400 qualify for the exemption. For fiscal 20, the number was 8,359. So I just rounded that just so there was an even number. We don't really know until they're all in how many there will be. With that, there is a breaking point. Properties that are worth around 950,000. So it's actually the actual number is around, it's 943,000. The benefit of the exemption begins to diminish. So beginning at $943,000, they get no benefit from the exemption. And the illustration below shows there are only 10 single-family homes that fall above that. So there are 10 single-family homes in the whole city that would not benefit from the exemption. All of these other properties are multifamily, 2 families, 3 families. There are 94 4 to 8 unit apartment buildings and 109 plus unit apartment buildings that wouldn't benefit from it. So this is just a comparison from fiscal 20 to fiscal 21. The average single family value in 2020 was $595,843. For fiscal 21, $629,649. The market's been very strong, as I'm sure most of you know. That's a 5.81% increase. The tax rate for 2020 was $12.65. The proposed rate for 2021 is $12.30, which is 35 cents less per thousand. You see there the 2020 average residential tax bill versus the 2021 average. It's actually average single family tax bill. And again, that does not include the residential exemption, which was at 2261 last year. So it's more in the mid fives. Below that is the same thing for the commercial properties. They also saw an increase in values, and they will also see a decrease in their tax rate and an increase in their bill. So this this slide shows I just chose other communities nearby that also have the residential exemption. Boston, Cambridge, Everett, Somerville, Chelsea, and Malden, and it shows what their tax rate, what their residential tax rate is, what their commercial, industrial, personal rate is, what their average single family value is, the amount of the exemption. So that column shows what basically we subtract this number off of their assessed value, and that's how we come up with the exemption. So you can see where we follow the exemption for fiscal 20 was $178,753. So that's how we came up with that 2261.21. The average single family tax bill with the exemption last year in Malden was $52.76, which falls right in the middle of these other communities, which I thought was pretty good. This is the tax shift that some of the neighboring communities adopted last year. Two of the communities, Malden and Everett, have the residential exemption, and those average single family tax bills on this grid do not reflect the exemption. I believe every one of the communities that borders Malden goes with the full shift, except for Melrose, which went with a 1.62, and that could be I'm speculating, but they could have been approaching their levy ceiling or some other reason that they just weren't able to go the full 1.75. So it is like I said earlier, it's the Board of Assessors recommendation that the City of Malden goes with the max shift of 1.75%, and that we also continue with the 30% residential exemption. And that's all I have.
Councilor Kamel, you've had your hand up. I apologize.
It's all right.
Can't see everybody with the split screen.
It's all right. Nate, thank you very much. I know this is not an easy presentation to put together and to give. So I just had a few questions. Just in my apologies. It's been not the first time I've been through this, but sometimes, have to remind myself. So we started out in the beginning, you had a figure of 1094.
Yeah. So there was
just actually list out a couple of questions. It's kind of sort of like a couple points I have. So you had 1094, and I wasn't sure. So it seemed like pre-shift, pre 1.75 shift, 1094 seemed to be what the rate would be across the board.
Yeah. So there was an error on that first slide. There had two different. Yeah. So this page, that 1366. Oops. Keep wanting to change it. That 1366 should be 1094. So it would be 1094.
Okay.
For residential.
That was my next. So let me just list them out and see if we can. So that was my. Should this start at 1094? And as we increase the shift, And it does show the residential tax rate going down from 1366 to 1230, but shouldn't it start at 1094 and go down from that point as the commercial goes up? Shouldn't be shifting from one to the next?
Yes, it should.
Yeah. So I think
There's something
1230 should be closer to a $10 or $9 number. And then we don't know, I don't think you've shown what that shifts to after the residential tax exemption, because I believe in previous years we were closer to like a 14 per thousand tax rate than a 10 or 12, but that was post the 30% residential shift. And then the final question I have is, I know you've run it for the 30%, and we've had 30% in the past, because I know at some point we sort of maxed out the residential exemption. I'm wondering if numbers have been or could be run for us to compare both the 30 and the 35% residential tax exemption. So I wanted to give them all to you, and so we can kind of walk through this one at a time if you want, right?
So it does appear that there's a error on that first line. So I don't know if
I think that error carries through quite a bit through the whole.
Yeah. So is Chuck on?
Yes, he is somewhere.
Chuck, can you hear me?
Yep.
Were you getting these similar numbers?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yep, I don't.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, and I can't remember all the numbers, and I didn't pull last year's and everything, but it seems it's off, because it shouldn't be. So even if it were 1230, that number should be adjusted after we factor in the residential tax exemption.
Right.
Because it would be, because then, so I think basically you should start on this, the CIP shift at 1 starts at like 1094, and then it should go down, maybe say like 9-ish. And then because it's been moved over to tax, let me just finish. So it's been moved over to commercial. And then I think from the 9, it goes back up as we shift. We have to accommodate for the residential tax exemption. So the rate goes up, but then the owners get the exemption.
So I just had a realization. These numbers do include the residential exemption. So that is with no shift, but with the exemption, those are the right numbers. That's what this is. These numbers came right off of the DOR website, and I had that residential exemption in there when they ran these numbers. So that's what those numbers are.
Oh, okay. So you did okay.
That makes.
I thought we usually do it. All right.
Thank God I figured.
Yeah, but so the 1230, I still thought we were closer to 14 per 100,000.
Last year the tax rate was 1265.
All right, I'll let other folks go first. I'll just double check something. Maybe it's my own memory. Sorry. Thanks, Nate. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kamel. Councilor Crowe, you're next.
Thank you. Actually, I did have the same question, because it felt like if we did the shift, we were going down, and then we increasingly seem to be going up. So I do think just to try to figure out without the shift, the 1366 includes the residential tax exemption, and the suggestion is to stay with the 30%, not go to the 35%. And then further down, so what so the 1230 is with the shift and the exemption?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and what would it be without the exemption?
So without the exemption, so the single rate without the exemption would be $10.94 across the board. Without the exemption, I don't have those numbers, because all of these numbers were ran with the exemption and the engagement.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm wondering though, if I just, is that a 30% difference between 1094 and 1366?
Let's see.
No, it isn't. Because not all the parcels qualify for it. So that difference isn't 30%.
Right, it's not an even 30% really across the board.
So, sorry, Peggy.
Are you all set, Councilor Crowe?
Yes, for now.
Okay. Councilor Winslow, you're next.
Yeah, just noticing on the one sheet that compared us to like Everett and Chelsea that their residential rates seem to be much lower. Is that because they have bigger industrial tax bases and commercial bases, so they can just lower their residential rates more? Okay.
Yeah, if you look at Cambridge, they have a $5.75 residential tax rate, but they're the number 2 in the state for commercial.
So it just lets them offset more. Otherwise, their residential rate would be much higher. Okay, yeah, I just want to understand that. Thank you. Great.
Thank you. Councilor O'Malley, you're next.
Thank you. I just checked my files to see if I had last year's documents, but I can't locate them at the moment. Is there any chance that through the chair of the council, would there be any desire to maybe take this and digest this a bit and maybe table the public hearing for a subsequent meeting, just to kind of make sure that we fully understand all the numbers? Just throwing it out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Spatafora, you're next.
So Nate, I had the similar, first of all, great presentation. I know it's not always easy, especially your first time doing this in front of a council, never mind doing it Zoom. Is the Community Preservation Act playing into these numbers that everybody's trying to back into?
No.
But what do you mean no? It's included though in this, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So
I think last year was our first full year of tax with the CPA. I'm looking at my councils. I think last year was the first full year we had it.
Okay.
So when we're trying to figure out the sliding scale there, that's already included in. Can you show me where that is, or where it would be reflected?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay. Because I think that might be a piece of the puzzle that when Council Kamel asked the question, I had similar questions, and I don't know if that's playing into it too, because this would be, I think, a full second year with the Community Preservation Act, right? And that might have an impact. Well, it will have an impact on all our tax rates because it's going up.
Yeah.
I know you weren't here to
rate, though. I think
provide.
it's added on afterwards.
Say that again, Dave.
I don't think it's in the base rate. Isn't it added on afterwards?
That's what I'm asking. So I don't know. But is it being reflected in the savings? Is my point. With the homeowner exemption.
Oh, sorry.
Nate, that was to you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So all the calculations that I did were on templates that are on the DOR website.
Okay.
So the only calculation that's in there, the only calculations that are in there are the 30% exemption and the different shift patterns. There isn't even a spot to put the CPA in there.
So it's already incorporated to Council Camel's in the base rate, right?
No. It's the other way around. I think it's added on afterwards.
After. Okay.
Jackie,
and then can you go to
correct me on that one? I think it's pretty sure that's not part of the Prop 2.5 levy, and it's added on afterwards. But I could very well be wrong.
So is that added on after the homeowner exemption is applied, or is it before? It'd have to be after, right? I think it would have to be after, right? It's got to be net, because you wouldn't get the full percentage of CPA money if you gave a discount to the homeowners, right? Nate?
Right. Correct.
So what you're seeing here is really not reflective until you add the CPA in after.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's good for the public's knowledge, and I think the rest of the council. Can you go to the slide, the next slide where it shows Melrose in there? That one kind of struck me as our tax bill is higher than than Melrose. So the housing value, the housing stock value there is substantially, well, I don't want to say substantially in this world anymore. Everything seems to be, that kind of threw me. I'm sure it's right, but I was kind of,
Our
This
value,
doesn't include, none of those other places have have the residential tax exemption. So all of those rates, so all the average single family tax bill you're looking at, Craig, is pre taking out the exemption. And so then take out another 2,200 of that. And
oh,
really,
that's okay. Okay. That's pre.
so, and the other thing that you mentioned was Malden has higher values than Melrose, which isn't the case, but
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't think it did. That's
so,
what kind of threw me off, Nate.
but you'll notice in the shift for fiscal 20, Melrose didn't shift 1.75. They only shifted
1.62, and that's you mentioned because the tax levy, you think?
I spoke with the assessor today, but I didn't ask why. But usually there's a reason why there would be an odd number like that.
Yep. Okay, I'll yield. I'll let my other councilors talk, but I appreciate the insight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafor. Councilor Murphy, you're next.
Thank you, Madam President. I say this every year because residential tax exemptions are important to all of our homeowner occupied residents. And it's unfortunate they don't all qualify. And, I saw something out there about 35%. And I just wanted to make a statement that, every single family, although you might not think they were a lot in comparison to the whole, all of those single families, they don't get, not only do they get the benefit of the tax exemption, but they actually kind of get a little bit added on to their tax bill. And the owner occupied 2 families and the owner occupied 3 families might not, and I don't know, Mr. Cramer, if you could go back to that screen, might not seem like a lot of people, but that's 10 single families, 31 2 families, and 34 3 families. Anyone above that wouldn't be qualified for, owner occupied kind of position.
So,
but though, excuse me, would the multiple houses, 1 lot be?
so that's typically like 2 single family houses on 1 lot.
Okay, so if you look at that, that's 100 Malden residents that really kind of they don't not only get the exemption, they kind of get penalized. So, I just always want to make that clear because I have a couple of them in Ward 5. Councilor Linehan, I'm sure you probably have some in Ward 3 where the housing value is a little bit higher. So those folks don't get benefited of this. And to even consider raising it to 35%, although it does benefit the masses, it does not benefit some of our folks. So I just always like to point that out, that folks don't realize that and thank you for including that screen, Mr. Cramer. That's something that's always of importance to me. And it's the first time I've seen it in a proposal and I haven't had to ask. So I'm glad that it was there for us all to see.
I may have been a little bit on that.
Pardon me, Mr.
I
Cramer?
may have been coached a little bit on that.
Well,
I think it's a really neat. I think it's neat to see though, like where that breaking point is and who doesn't qualify.
Right. So anyway,
the question I had that you
I want to thank you for having that there this year, so we can all see it and the public can see it. So that there is there's a break even point here for some folks and not others, and the vast majority does benefit, but those who don't benefit obviously don't feel great about that. So as they feel they keep their properties in pristine condition and have built a home that is reflective of Malden, and they don't see that benefit. So there was that, and the other thing was there was, and unfortunately I had to log off for a moment because I had a little bit of technical difficulty, but there you did have a screen that had Medford and Melrose on it. Okay. Yes. Okay, which we showed that tax shift in neighboring areas. But then there was another screen that did not include Medford and Melrose.
Mhm.
It included Chelsea and Somerville.
Yep. So
Okay, and I was just wondering why Medford and Melrose, who are our neighboring communities, in Boston and Cambridge aren't, and even Somerville isn't. Why, we didn't see Medford and Melrose included on that other chart?
because this slide is of communities that also have the residential exemption. Medford and Melrose do not.
Okay, so that was the difference. Okay, I was just curious as to why they weren't there. But in the tax rate, so if we're looking at the tax rate between Malden and Melrose and Everett, Malden and Melrose and Medford that don't have the tax rate, could I see the difference, please, in the tax rate? Those two cities that don't have a residential tax exemption?
So I think one of these is on here, right? So Everett's tax rate.
No, not Everett, because you said Everett does. So
Yeah,
you're saying Medford and Melrose do not have the residential tax exemption. And I was just curious about the difference in their tax rate between Malden, which is a neighboring community. I think, kind of represents them relatively equally. And, what's the difference in their tax rate between ours?
That's not something I can easily get, but I can email you in the morning if you'd like.
Okay, I think that's a very interesting question. As we ponder, the beginning of your presentation talked about maybe going to 30%, 35% from the 30%.
You
And I
can.
think that would be a very interesting, perspective to have, is the difference in the tax rates between those two cities and ours. Where we have a 30% tax rate, they have none. And the beginning of this presentation actually had something about potentially going to a 35% tax reduction.
So sometimes
I appreciate at some point getting that information from you. Maybe not this year. I'm hoping that we stay with the 30% and we don't move that any further until we delve into it a lot deeper. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilor DeMaria.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Nate. First time out, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. I have an ask, and maybe it's in here, but there's so many numbers, maybe I can't pull it out. But from what our residents paid last year on their taxes, based on the rate, what would be the difference or the up that they would be paying this year? Okay, is that what it is right there? No. That's Boston. Hold on. Like 2020 versus 2021 projected. What's the bump up that they will be paying? I know there's different categories, some, multifamily, some single family, but I'm just wondering if we could.
So the change in, we do have that somewhere without the exemption.
So maybe with the exemption, 2020 versus 2021, and without the exemption, 2020 versus 2021. I just think that, layman's, for those that, just bottom line me here.
Yep. So looking for that page.
Sorry.
That's all right.
If you don't have it, I'm sure that the counselors would, welcome something like that, just as a, we're going up $150 or we're going down or.
So I do have a page in here that just shows what it is without it. Oh, here it is. So without it, it's going up $208. But that's without the exemption.
Okay. You don't have anything with the exemption, do you? No.
No.
Okay. If you could get that, I think that would be really helpful, just, for our residents to know that this is what we're doing.
I think that the number, and I could be wrong, but I think the number of people that actually get the exemption, so last year, I think there were 8,359 people. This year in these numbers, I rounded it to 8,400. I think that number might be affected by the number of people that actually apply. So it's a little fluid, but I could be wrong there, but I think the number of applicants could make that number move a little bit. But I can work on seeing if that is the case, and if it's not, definitely include it.
Yeah, well, that's super important to me, as I do believe that residential exemption, owner occupied residential exemption is, I know it's fluid, but somehow we got to get our arms around it. But anyway, if you could get that to the council, that would be great. Like just a simple comparison, what everyone paid last year, which we all know, and then what projected if, we vote on the recommended rate. Okay, thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Cramer, this is your first presentation, and I know this hasn't been an easy process to go through for you, but I think there's a lot of unanswered questions that are being presented by some on the council who are very, very knowledgeable about this tax exemption situation and so forth. And the last speaker just talked about, some hard questions about, what's the bottom line for the taxpayers comparing this year and next year. So I guess I'm thinking that what Councilor O'Malley had suggested, maybe we need to step back before we pass this evening and hear you respond to some of those questions that have been answered. Because if it's confusing for some of the councilors who've been around doing this for a while, we must be confusing the life out of our residents at home who don't have the benefit of all these charts that you're here in front of us. So I guess I'd like your response to that.
As of right now, the question that I was asked to get back to you, the city council on, was the difference in the tax rates from 20 to 21 with the exemption.
Well, that was one question, and then Councilor Di Maria just asked a question about what's the real bottom line. So for the taxpayer that's out there, they want to know, okay, what did I pay last year, and what are the options here? How much am I going to be paying more or less this year based on a 30% residential exemption? How is that in real numbers going to affect me? Would you say that's still kind of an unanswered question?
That's the same question.
I think we need to have that answer. That's it for me, Madam.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Spatafora for the second time.
Am I off mute? Council, that was earlier. I apologize. I just want to make sure I was off mute. That was I already had the question answered. I apologize.
Okay. Councilor Kamel for the second time.
Okay. So first of all, an apology, Nate. The 1409 number was stuck in my head from fiscal year 2018. So it was 1409 at one point, but it has decreased since then. So my apologies. That was me. But I do have a few. So I'll list the questions first, just so we can. So what's the timeline of this, and when do we need this done? Are we a little earlier than usual? And I think maybe Chuck can answer that question. There's a reason maybe we're doing a little bit early. The second thing is, I understand it's difficult to say what an average taxpayer will be saving, but just basically what, and I don't know if I've seen it in here, what is the actual owner exemption? Is it 2,200? Is it 2,000? What's the actual reduction because of the tax exemption? And I guess the third thing is, in the past we've talked about, and notwithstanding, I realize some of the councilors wouldn't agree with this. I do support going to 35%. I was hoping we would see a comparison of the 30% and the 35%. I understand $900,000, $950,000 homes and above would are above the break-even point, but we have a vast number of people who would be benefit from it, and I'd really love to see those side by side, because I do want to explore that. We have talked about it in the past, and we've put it off to get more numbers about it. And I understand this is your first time around, so you might not have, you don't have that track record of hearing those previous conversations about it. But I would like to see the 30 and the 35% compared side by side. So I guess those are my, well, two questions and a request. If we were to table this, put this off, what I would like to see if this came back again. Thanks.
I just figured out those numbers that Debbie was asking for. I was listening, but I was figuring it out too.
Yeah, but so let me very specifically, what is the residential tax exemption? What is the?
So for 2021, the exemption will be, so for 2020, it was 2261 and change. For 2021, it'll be 2323 and change.
Thank you.
So the difference, the average single family bill with the exemption for 2020 was 5276. The average single family bill with the exemption for 2021 will be 5422, which is an increase of $146.
And you don't have, it's probably too complex of a calculation to figure out what those numbers would be with the 35%.
Yeah, those are table. I need tables to plug those.
I figured.
Yeah.
Councilor Kamel, really fast to answer your first question. We're kind of on a time crunch for this. If we table this matter this evening, we're going to need to vote on it no later than next Tuesday. Next Tuesday's docket has already been sent out.
Okay, well then I'd like to make a motion to amend it to 35%. Because if we don't have time to get the numbers back and consider it, then this is our only shot. Then I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, hold that thought. I still have some hands up, okay? Councilor Murphy, you're next.
Okay, hey, I've got way too much going on here. Okay, so Mr. Cramer, I feel bad for you at the moment in the chair you're in. You're a new employee to the city. You've taken over. You've done a great job, and I just want to thank you for everything you've done since you've hit the ground running. And I know this is probably a very difficult moment. Councilor Kamel will agree to disagree on that. I would never be able to support going to 35% without having the facts and figures before us. And I would hope the rest of the council would not see this as an opportunity to just do that without knowing this evening as to what the impact would be on that. I think it would not be something in that we should as council do without having really dug down into the numbers. So, if you do get a second to your motion, I do want you to know that I will not be supporting it, just not because I actually personally don't agree with it, but it's not that piece. It's just the fact that there's no figures to support it. And I would hope that the council would not take something on like that without having had the time to vet it, because it does have an impact to our community. So anyway, so that's one thing. But Mr. Cramer, just, I guess, a little bit putting you on the hot seat this evening. I'd like you to, we've been focusing on your, proposal and everything that you presented to us. But I'd like you to just, kind of roll back a little bit. Okay. You are a very effective assessor. We've hired you as the director of our department. You have a lot of experience. And I think, we're kind of bombarding you with a lot of questions. And what I'd like you to do is just talk about the logistics of what you do, how you do it. And the fact, I think that's extremely important to the folks that are listening this evening, is the fact that real estate values have gone up astronomically. Okay. It is, I've heard people I just heard of someone in Ward 5 who sold their home for $50,000 more than they asked for it. Okay. Now, we're in a different world than any of us have experienced to date. It's very different. We're becoming Boston, Cambridge, Somerville to some degree, especially where real estate values are concerned. I hope in other areas we're not becoming them. But as far as real estate values, this is something of a little anomaly for the city of Malden. So when folks talk about, real estate, what's the tax bill? What's the tax levy? What's the tax rate? Okay. And we continue to say to our residents, our tax rate has gone down. And you know what? It has. It seems to have gone down year after year, but yet their tax bills go up. Okay. And that is basically, it's kind of like basic math. You have a numerator, you have a denominator, and you have an equation. Okay. So if you could just speak to, maybe to clarify a little bit of this issue as to, yes, your tax rate goes down, but your tax bill goes up. And why is that? I think that might help set a little bit of a stage for what's going on this evening. So it gives anyone who's listening on MATV, the general public, people who are recording, etc., to understand what's happening with the value of the property in the city and how the tax rate and the residential tax exemption works in kind of together.
Okay.
So I'd like to turn that over to you for a moment to kind of give us a little clarity on that topic.
Okay. So you're right. The real estate market is extremely tight. As an example, I live in Peabody, and that's a city of 60,000 people. And I think last week there were maybe 14 single-family homes for sale, which is that's ridiculously low inventory. So when you say you saw a house sell for $50,000 over asking, that's why there are just as many buyers out there, but nothing to buy. And with interest rates the way they are, there really are no deals in real estate right now. The deals are in the interest rates. So it gives people a lot more buying power than they would normally have. And in terms of real estate values versus tax rates, the tax rate really is, it's determined on, so the city needs a certain amount of money to operate. And as values increase, if values were to go down, your tax rates would be going up because the city still needs to operate. The city still needs to raise money. As values go up, that rate comes down because they're still raising typically more money every single year, but that number changes dependent on what the value of the real estate is doing in the city.
So would you say that, if I can kind of lead you down this path a little bit, would you say that when you're talking about the city budget, if, basically the unions have negotiated, a 2% raise, and the city follows along with that once the union negotiations are settled, and then the city employees get that same type or similar type of raise, that all of a sudden the city budget has been increased, so therefore the tax levy needs to go up with that. So therefore, if the real estate taxes go up, I'm sorry, if the real estate prices go up, at some points we're able to reduce the tax rate, okay, because it still fulfills the amount, the percentage of money that's needed to fund the city budget.
Correct.
Is that a correct analysis of
Yep.
how that works?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so you know, there are a number of things that play into the actual tax levy that's needed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're and then on top of that, we as a council have the ability to shift money from the residents, okay, who are paying a tax on their home properties, okay, to the commercial industry who is in the city. And as a city, we have in the past, what is the 1.75? Is that the correct figure that we have, year after year, or at least in the past years, decided to shift to our commercial base?
Yep.
So that our residential base has a little bit of a break?
Yes.
Okay, so and in following that through, through the whole, to the end of this, we're trying to, make sure that our residents have a reasonable tax levy, but we also are as a city council, for as long as I've been on here, we are trying to encourage commercial development, which actually will help reduce the residential tax rate if we stay on that 1.75. Is that another correct statement?
If you increase the commercial tax base, yeah.
Okay, so by increasing the residential tax reduction to 35%, that would put more burden on the commercial.
And some of the residential.
Huh?
And some of the residential.
Non-owner occupied, which we all kind of like struggle a little with, okay? But, it would shift that burden. So, we finally have come in the city of Malden over the last, 2 decades to finally reaching a point where we are, open to commercial development. We have, really great opportunities to bring some wonderful groups into the city of Malden, whether it be labs, restaurants, hotels, whatever it might be. So, we really need to think this through, because Malden is a very vibrant community. I truly, from my perspective, in all the years I've been here, feel that, we really are on the precipice of attracting, a good number of businesses that are going to, be the future of the city of Malden. And, I would hope that we would stay with the 30%. I'm fully supportive of the 30%. But I would like to see, the fact that we, drive home the fact that we're trying to, mirror, kind of merge, commercial and residential here together. But also let folks know that, they do own homes that are of significant value. I mean, it amazes me the difference in value between today and 10 years ago. And there was a cost to that. And even though the tax rate has gone down, there in many cases will be an increase to people's property tax values. But they also have the ability to sell those homes. And, if they choose, I'm someone who chooses to stay here, but there is a value to the property and the equity that they own in that home. So I think I've been on my soapbox long enough, so I will yield the floor to anyone else who likes to speak. Thank you. Excuse me, before I do, Mr. Cramer, do you have anything to say contrary to anything I've said? And please do, if you do. If I've misstated something or I don't understand something, I would appreciate your speaking out right now.
I felt, you were giving your opinion. I don't agree or disagree with what you said. It felt like it was your personal opinion.
Well, if I stated something that wasn't true or accurate, then I truly would like you to.
I didn't hear anything blatantly wrong about what you said, no.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to state that to give another counselor a different opinion? Because trust me, I'm just trying to get this all out on the floor tonight so that we can either pass this or not pass it. And I would also like to ask Mr. Ranigan about tax bills and what the impact of a delay in this vote would have on tax bills.
I just called the treasurer, Dan Grover. He told me that if this were to be tabled and passed next week, that he'd be under the gun to get bills out on time. If it was tabled for 2 weeks, he's pretty confident that we'd never get the tax bills out on time. This is about the same time of the year that we've always done this each year. I went back just now over the last 5 years. The latest I've ever seen us passing this was the first Tuesday in December. But I just hung up with Dan Grover 5 minutes ago, and that's what he had told me.
Okay, thank you. And the only thing I would suggest is that could we please, just as we've done with licensed on, getting auto dealers licensed, could we next year please do this a little bit earlier? I think that would be beneficial to all of us to feel more comfortable about what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor Condon, you have your hand up?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I would be in favor of adopting the 1.75 at the recommendation of the Board of Assessors. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't adopt that. I think that's the number we should go with. We usually accept the Board of Assessors recommendation. They're a heck of a lot more expert than we are. That's for sure. And unless somebody can offer a reason why we shouldn't, and we should shift the burden more on the residential, then I take the 1.75 at their recommendation. And I think, I'm not sure exactly what that tax rate would be per thousand. What would that be? 10 and change?
With the exemption, it would be $12.30.
Yeah. And I mean, 30% is a nice number for our residential people. I wouldn't want to take the chance of going to 35 and having some sort of a negative effect. So like I said, I take the recommendation of our Board of Assessors, and I don't think we should put anybody under the gun. We have new department heads in there. They certainly know what they're doing, and I'd hate to put them under the gun by delaying this a week. So I would make that motion, put that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. 1 second. Councilor O'Malley, you have your hand up?
So I'm not opposed to us looking into what it would look like at 35. But I do think that we should see what those figures are, particularly where the break-even number is. I think having a little bit more data on that. So I agree. I think that in the future, we should definitely do this sooner. I can see why this probably would have come out today. It usually does come out around this time. But maybe we can follow up with, the Finance Committee on what the impact would be for next year. But yeah, I don't think that it, I just don't have the data in front of me. And we already had the whole question about the data at the beginning of this presentation. I'd prefer to table it a week, but I'll defer to the rest of the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kamel?
Yeah, so I understand the time frame and the fact that data is not in front of us. I won't make the motion to raise it to 35%, but I want to make the strong point that we absolutely should be looking at comparing these. And just for clarity, the recommendations, Nate, that you made are because it's a continuity with what we've had in the past, right? These numbers aren't necessarily coming from these numbers are determined by us. The city council, we're responsible for setting these numbers, and you're just sort of calculating what they are going forward from the past, right? You're not specifically saying 1.75 versus 1.5 or 30% versus 35%. You're just delivering what those numbers come out at. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, so I did offer though what the other shifts would look like. So 1.75 is the max, but I don't know if you can still see that slide, but it does show where you would be at 1.5 and 1.25.
Yeah, absolutely. But the 1.75 is being put forward as a recommendation because that's what we've used in the past. Right?
As far back as I could get data, that's what was voted on.
I just want to be clear on that. So it's us, the city council, responsible for what we set as priority for the city. And so my apologies. I did not follow through in October like I should have, or September. This is something that I've thought about in the past. I've talked about in the past. So it will be. I'll make sure to be bringing it up, for fiscal year 2022, and I think we shall remember that. So I'll back off on my opposition here. I understand that reality sort of dictates what needs to happen, but in the future, I definitely want to see us compare what different residential tax exemptions look like for our residents. Thanks.
I have it written down, so I'll include it automatically.
And as a matter of fact, even though we passed this, I would, if you don't mind, I know everybody's got a lot to do. I'd still like to see theoretically what the numbers would have been. I'd like to still know that. Even for fiscal year 2021, even if we pass this and it's just a theoretical academic exercise, I still want to see the order of magnitude difference. If that would be thanks.
I can get that for you if not tomorrow, then early next week.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Kamel. So before we entertain Councilor Condon's motion, this is a public hearing, so I need to declare the public hearing portion of this open. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this, please come forward. Anybody wish to speak in favor? Anybody wish to speak in favor? Hearing none and seeing none, I declare that portion of the public hearing closed. Is there anybody that wishes to speak in opposition? Yes. Anybody wish to speak in opposition? Hearing none and seeing none, I declare that portion of the public hearing closed. And now, Councilor Spatafora, you have your hand up. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I am muted. Sorry about that, Madam President. I just have a procedural question. We can do it after vote, but I know we have to sign this. I think we legally all have to sign this to affirm the tax rate. I just want to know how we're going to do that remotely. That's probably a question. And I know it's a question for Nate. Is that correct? We have to sign it, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have gateway accounts.
I don't know. I just know that this is the one of the documents that requires every council to sign off in order for this to go to the state. So just an FYI for I think the clerk and the rest of the councilors. I don't know how we'll do it. We might have to stop by individually at City Hall, but I know they can't submit it without our signatures.
Can I weigh in on that?
Yes.
I'm gonna go on mute. I got an echo.
So last year,
it's city clerk that has an echo.
Yeah. Does he have a cell phone on?
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, it was probably.
No. Two things going on at once.
Too open, I think.
How's that?
No. An echo.
I got a second computer on. Let me shut that off.
It's like a nightclub.
Haven't been in one of those in a while.
How's that?
Oh.
Up and soft.
Okay. We got to figure this out. We need you, city clerk.
I know, let me figure it out.
I'm wondering if he mutes his video and unmutes the one that looks like it's a phone.
Yeah, just mute. How's that?
No.
Greg, do you either have both speakers on or both microphones on? Like you need to shut the audio off altogether on one of them.
How's that? Is that still?
No, that's better.
Okay, maybe I'll just change it.
I think he's on twice though.
Yeah, he's definitely has that problem.
Greg, you're on twice. Is there a cell phone you have on that you dialed into that maybe is getting the echo? That's
No,
where I think the issue is.
Okay. Give me a second.
Back again. Craig,
Now I'm getting vertigo.
He's usually on the phone and on the video just in case.
Yeah. I think that might be it. I think. But it looks like he's muted in one of them, but
Can you maybe eject the other one from the meeting?
While we're figuring that out, I did if.
Oh.
Sorry.
Councilor Kamel.
I'm back. Back, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, good. I had the second one on that I signed on. I just shut that off. So I was gonna say, as far as signing, last year, if everyone remembers, I actually signed you all up on Gateway. Remember they told us we had to do it electronically last year?
Yes.
And then it got complicated. So you all do have passwords on Gateway?
We do.
We didn't use it last year, but I can touch base with you tomorrow to get that done.
Okay.
Unless
Perfect.
you want to come to City Hall. But I mean, we can do it. We can do it. If you can sign into Gateway, which you all do have a password, I can resend it. And we can do it that way.
okay.
You'll have to walk me through this one.
I'll drive you down, Counselor.
Okay. So on Councilor Condon's motion to adopt the new tax rate, seconded by Councilor, I think it was Murphy.
Yep.
The
Yes.
clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
No, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Di Maria,
Di Maria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Mel, yes.
Spatafora,
It's better for you, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Carries 11-0.
The order has been adopted. Thank you, Mr. Cramer, for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Next order of business.
Order of business is 5 sets of minutes, 388-20
Oh,
minutes.
wait a second. Public comments first.
Oh, public comment. You're right. I was rushing. Hold on. All right. So we have 4 letters I can read, and then there's some people that are on queue that want to speak. That's how you want to do it.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. First letter is, my name is Chris Fernandez of 121 Salem Street, and I'd like to comment on docket item 402-20. The mayor's original plan as laid out in Unite Malden 2020 initiative was to fund a full-time director of equity, inclusion, and community engagement. However, the city council committee report tonight describes the position as diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator. I am concerned that this role may have been quietly reduced in scope and will not be able to successfully fulfill its purpose. I want to make sure that the position is taken seriously and isn't just an empty figurehead given the appearance that Malden is making diversity efforts. Next letter is from Naomi Khan. My name is Naomi Khan, a Ward 6 resident residing at 33 Tyler Street. I'm sending in my public comment regarding 395-20 under communications by Ryan O'Malley. I'm writing to voice my support for the nomination procedure. The city council president to be open and transparent process. I understand it is the right of the councilors to vote for their president, but I'm concerned with the amount of times that has happened in Ward 4, first with former councilor Jim Nestor and now with Councilor O'Malley. This will be the second year in a row that Councilor O'Malley will not be given an opportunity to lead as council president. I'm asking that the public be able to listen and understand what the criteria for president is, how it is discussed among council members, and what are the guidelines for nomination. I've been watching city council meetings both in person and virtually for the past 15 years, and I see no reason why Councilor O'Malley should not be given the same chance to speak for the Ward 4 residents in a leadership role. They deserve the same respect as the rest of our city. Ryan O'Malley is the voice of constituents, and he shows up each week fully prepared. It is obvious to all who are watching that he's done his homework and researched the issues fully. He is respectful, intelligent, well-spoken, and one of the hardest working councilors in the city, especially when it comes to transparency. I hope he is given the opportunity to shine, and I respectfully ask the rest of the councilors to do the right thing, follow the order of tradition by giving the councilor with the most seniority who has not had the chance to lead, to be president. What was once an unconventional move is now looking to be in the norm. What will this mean for the councilors next in line? Thank you for listening, Naomi. Dear Mr. Lucy, in your role as clerk for the Malden City Council for the 11/24/2020 meeting, would you please include my letter below in public comments? Dear Council President, Seeker, and councilors, thank you for the opportunity to offer public comment regarding the new city position for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I understand that a favorable vote was taken based upon the Finance Committee's recent consideration of financial compensation for the position, as requested by Mayor Christensen. I hope that the legislative and executive branches of Malden's government will continue to work collaboratively to ensure that the salary, benefits, role, and function of this position is fully developed and tailored for success. The person occupying the position for diversity, equity, and inclusion is critical to the culture shift that is vital for the future of Malden. It is not only the quantity of diverse individuals and groups, but their presence in every aspect and how the city functions that is pivotal. To attract and retain the right person, this challenge in DEI position necessitates a competitive salary. One can see that the average salary nationally is $100,278 per ZipRecruiter to maximize the chance for success. I believe this person should be a member of the team of directors. We have an opportunity to build bridges. It is my hope that soon there will be no need for bridges. That is, there would be no divisions of race, class, nor health disparities. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted, D. Campbell Tompkins, Ward 2, 17 Chester Street. Good evening, councilors. My name is Sean Hickey, formerly at 51 Tremont Street in Ward 4. I am writing in relation to City Council Paper 394-20 to make my disgust with the paper that was submitted by Ward 4 Councilor Ryan O'Malley known in public for the record. City Council should, for lack of a better word, campaign and gain support from fellow councilors in order to be elected City Council President. To put this paper on the City Council agenda and to waste the time of council service is no other purpose other than increases visibility and standards citywide for the 2021 municipal elections and possibly even the 2023 election. Clearly, if Councilor O'Malley feels the need to put the paper on the council agenda, he, number one, doesn't have the support of his fellow councilors to be council president, and then number two, is possibly position himself to seek higher elected office within the city or possibly even the state. I strongly urge all councilors to table this paper and move on with the business of representing we the people, and not turn the city council docket into a showboating free-for-all. I respectfully ask that this be read in public record for the scheduled meeting 11/24/2020. Thank you, Sean Hickey, Ferry Street, Everett. The rest, Council President, I think, are people that are in the queue to speak. I mean, I can tell you who sent in. You want me to tell you the names and you can see if they're in the
Please,
queue?
so I can get them.
Okay, first one would be Karen Hayes.
Okay. Karen, are you there?
I am. I just got the unmute.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Please get your name and address for the record, Karen.
I will. It's Karen Cologne Hayes. 105 Wyoming Avenue.
Perfect, go ahead.
Okay, so you're going to hear this again. I think it was accidentally read already by Naomi Khan. Greg said, but that was my letter. So my name is Karen Cologne Hayes. I'm speaking tonight as a Ward 3 resident residing at 105 Wyoming Avenue. The docket was full of great topics to speak on tonight, but I'm going to focus on item 395-20 under communications by Ryan O'Malley. I would like to voice my support for the nomination procedure for City Council President to be an open and transparent process. I understand it is the right of the councilors to vote for their president, but I'm concerned about the amount of times this has happened in Ward 4. I lived in Ward 4 when it happened to former councilor Jim Nestor, and now again with Councilor O'Malley. This will be, or could be, the second year in a row that Councilor O'Malley may not be given the opportunity to lead as council president. I'm asking that the public be able to listen and understand what the criteria for president is, how it is discussed among council members, and what are the guidelines for nomination. I've been watching city council meetings, both personally and virtually, for the past 15 years, and I see no reason why Councilor O'Malley should not be given the chance to represent his ward in this leadership role. Ryan O'Malley is the voice of not only his constituents, but the city as a whole. He shows up each week fully prepared, and it's obvious to all who are watching that he has done his homework on the issues. He's respectful, qualified, and one of the hardest working councilors in the city, especially when it comes to transparency. I hope he is given his opportunity to shine, and I respectfully ask the rest of the councilors to do the right thing and follow the council's own tradition of having the councilor with the most seniority, who has not had the chance to lead, be president. What was once an unconventional move is now looking to be the norm. What will this mean for the councilors next in line? Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person up would be Janelle DeVitz.
Okay. I don't see her on here. Can we go back to her? I don't see her on here.
Okay. How about, do you see Isabel Eddy?
Hold on one second. Janelle, is that you?
Yes, it is.
It says Kimberly. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's probably my fault.
Okay, I apologize. Janelle, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Janelle DeVitz, 3 Sheridan Street in Ward 2.
Perfect. Go ahead.
I just want to make it really clear before I start speaking that I'm speaking in my own individual capacity as a private citizen of Malden, and not as a member of the CLEC. I guess there was some concern with that last time, but as a private citizen, I am speaking on behalf of paper 394-20 with respect to changing the special permit granting authority to the planning board from the city council. And I just wanted to, remind everybody that when this was going through the cannabis review committee and the ordinance committee, there was, heavy debate about this issue in particular. And, I think the city council was chosen to be the permit granting authority because, it's obviously an important decision where marijuana establishments, are located, and ward councilors wanted to have, a say and a seat at the table debating that, especially with, the sensitivities around these things coming in. And given the large impact it could have on the residents or the city as a whole, I think having it at the city council level was good accountability. And so this was being negotiated or debated, a couple of years ago, I think, especially in light of what was happening at the planning board with the, the motions or the moves to try and have large buffer zones and, this idea that it might be a de facto ban. It seemed pretty logical to be at the city council level, both for accountability reasons and just for transparency reasons. So I would urge you guys, when you're talking about this in ordinance, to remember that history and those, points of view. And then, quickly, I wasn't going to say anything, but I do want to speak on behalf of Ryan's communication to the board. I mean, I've known Councilor O'Malley now for almost 20 years, and I've seen a tremendous amount of personal and professional growth in him over the last 5 or 6 years. And I do want to say that although it might have been a rocky start at the beginning, I think he has proven himself to be somebody that values process and transparency. And I hope you guys do give him a shot, because I think he's, come a long way and he's earned it. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm looking for Isabel, you said, right, City Clerk?
Correct, yeah.
All right, hold on. Here we go. Good evening, Isabel. Can you hear me?
Good evening. I believe I'm unmuted.
Yes, you are. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Yep, I'm Isadel Eddy, and I live at 58 Blomworth Street in Malden. As you are aware, I recently helped draft a petition asking you to allocate more resources for a DEI position. Over 260 Malden residents and dozens of other people who work or organize in Malden have signed it. We, the Malden community, are asking you to make a continued and growing investment in a vision of Malden that is more equitable and inclusive. This vision includes more BIPOC, LGBTQ+ people, and people with marginalized religious or gender identities holding leadership positions in City Hall. This vision includes the input of people with different identities being respected and listened to. This vision includes our city government being transparent, inclusive, and welcoming, themes that we've already heard about tonight and that we will continue to hear more about, I'm sure. I hope that you hear that we want to be included in decisions that affect us. I hope that you take to heart that since the person hired for this DEI position is to work for systemic change, then our residents who are the most oppressed by the systems that are in place should be welcomed on the interview committee. There has been much talk also about the appropriate salary for this DEI position. I, like many other community members, view this position as vital to a larger diversity, equity, and inclusion plan in our city. I envision a DEI director having months on the job to listen to community members and build a strategic plan in collaboration with the mayor before then hiring a staff to help enact the plan. There are few jobs in Malden that carry more responsibility than this, so I believe that the position should come with a salary that is in line with director level salaries. Directors in Malden are making $85,000 to $119,000 this fiscal year. Hiring someone as the person in charge of DEI work in our Malden city government at a salary of $65,000, or even potentially $80,000 as parking director, Ron Hogan said at last week's Finance Committee meeting, echoes the disparities we see in our community. It means that a position dedicated to making Malden more equitable, which will likely go to an individual who has one or more marginalized identities, would come with a relatively low salary for the responsibilities involved. We invest in what we value, and it is past time Malden starts valuing its diversity instead of just being proud of it. I'm done. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
About Erga X.
Okay, let's get Erga.
It's Erga
Erga.
Perret.
Yep.
Hi.
Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Erga Purette, 93 Oliver Street. When
Go
Mayor
ahead.
Thank you. When Mayor Christensen made the announcement during the NAACP event about his commitment to create and fund a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer for Malden, I was elated. Then I saw the proposal. It is an unrealistic job description with endless responsibilities, duties, and expectations that by design will likely cause burnout and failure. This position is long overdue for our community. I am disheartened at the lack of research, thought, and time that was put into the paper that was submitted by the mayor and approved by the council as it was written. It is imperative that this position is changed from a coordinator to a director level position with a salary of at least $105,000 a year. This position requires a specific skill set, talent, experience, and the person in this role must have exceptional organizational leadership abilities that are necessary to transform this broken city that operates within a flawed system that perpetuates racism, homophobia, and sexism. The DEI director will take the lead to move our city in the right direction towards change. Malden needs a clear DEI strategic plan. This strategic plan must outline the city's commitment to a set of comprehensive diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. It is vital that the strategy is a collaborative development of a 5 to 10 year strategic plan by the mayor and DEI director. This individual must be supported by the mayor in executing the goals and initiatives, as well as possessing the authority to make decisions and enforce policy. I applaud Mayor Gary Christensen for declaring racism a public health crisis in Malden. I believe that this shows that our mayor is informed and aware that there is a great sense of urgency to change Malden's current narrative of the way Black and Brown adults and children are being mistreated, silenced, and gaslighted. It is time that action is taken by this council to be intentional about making city government, boards, and commission leaders reflective of our racial and ethnic population, as well as becoming linguistically inclusive. In the
Perfect.
spirit,
Time is up. I'm sorry.
thank you.
You have a nice night.
Kimberly Gillette.
Let's see. Let me find Miss Gillette. Yeah. Can you hear me, Kim? Hello? Okay. Kim, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Good.
Excellent.
Thank you. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Kimberly Gillette, 3 Sheridan Street, Malden.
Go ahead.
Okay, transparency in Malden is new. I appreciate any efforts made by councilors to lead out in the open for all of their constituents, not just their voters in mind. While you pat yourselves on the back tonight for hiring a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator, I can't help but see this for what it is. This person will be underpaid, expected to do the job of 3. They will have little to no actual power to implement ideas. And if they investigate someone in favor with the powers that be, they can be written out of the budget quietly with a pen stroke. City councilors, you are not done here. You have not yet taken the steps necessary for a city as diverse as Malden until you take bold steps. Until this position is properly financed, put through an ordinance, and then given the power to match the responsibility, it's just another show. Malden is not cheering you on for this half-hearted attempt to appease the pleas from constituents to do better. For that, you must actually do better. I hope tonight's discussion is focused on how we can do better for the city of Malden and actually represent the people of Malden. On another note, as you plan to overlook Ryan O'Malley for the 2nd year for council president, the rest of us are lacing up our sneakers because it's clear we have doors to knock. Councilor O'Malley has worked tirelessly to provide transparency, open dialogue, and to drag our demons from the shadows. I applaud his every effort to work across the aisle, despite being met with name-calling and hate language. His work as ordinance chair speaks for itself. Ryan attends almost every meeting and then some. He has heeded the advice of mentors and learned how to operate in the city council far more respectfully than he is treated in return. He has proven time and again that he works for the people of Malden. Passing over Ryan O'Malley for city council while he is clearly qualified is proof positive that personal agendas are at play again in Malden. I expect every single councilor to provide a statement to go with their public vote. I know my words tonight won't change your position. Only door knocking and grassroots can achieve what I see as necessary steps for change. So tonight,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Carrie McDonald.
Okay. Carrie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can. Good evening. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Carrie McDonald at 33 Pierce Street in Malden.
Great, go ahead.
I'm following up on my comment 2 weeks ago when this was on the council agenda, and I am thrilled to see how many people have written to you and brought in their concerns about the DEI coordinator position. Making this a director is essential, as many have stated. Lots of communities are trying to do this work now, and comparable positions in Medford and Somerville and Cambridge are making well over $100,000. So it really sends a signal about whether this is a priority for the city or not. But I just want to say that I think the problems with this position, which have been well named by others, are a symptom of a larger problem, which is that while we love to proclaim how strong our diversity is in Malden, that's one of our strengths. And we also know that we don't have that diversity already present in the ranks of our senior city leadership. We don't have a good process for partnering with impacted communities on decisions like this. I supported the petition that was mentioned earlier about what this will really take to live into Malden's DEI commitments. And the problem was that we should not have had to have a petition written by Black, Indigenous, people of color, queer folks, disabled folks to get our concerns addressed by this council and by this government. There should be a consultation process built into our structures here so that these types of decisions can be fully vetted with our community before they're brought for the council. And I think that you as counselors could have avoided a lot of concern and headaches here had that work been done on the front end. So I would like to ask you as counselors how you will set that expectation going forward, that you are getting appropriately diverse input before this and future policies are proposed. I urge you to do whatever you can to increase the city's investment in this position right now to work towards diversity, equity, inclusion overall, and set a better process for inclusive community input going forward, and not set this person up to fail. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last one would be Guan.
Juan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening, Madam President and members of the City Council.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Juan Kelly Guan, 1 Main Street.
Great, thank you. Go ahead.
I write to you in regard to the DEI coordinator role. There are serious concerns for this position at the current salary and title. Members of the community have expressed it in tonight's council meeting. I strongly support this position to be elevated to a director level or higher. The Malden City Council is willing to allocate funding and commit to issuing generous resources to support the DEI role. The candidate selected for this position must be culturally competent, hold a high level of authority to not only hold important conversations needed in the community, but address systemic issues that plague this city. The person in this position should also establish accountability metrics from the various departments they will be working with, i.e. Human Resources, Malden Public Schools, etc. This way, there is a track record in progress which could identify any concerning trends or patterns that currently exist in the city with solutions to remedy such challenges. If we're not seeking to make this important change and elevating this position, then the city of Malden runs the risk of maintaining harmful systems and structures due to high expectations, turnover, and burnout. This outcome would affect everyone, including members of this council. Change must start at the top and groups that hold a level of authority. With that said, Malden is a diverse community with people from different countries, ethnicities, backgrounds, identities, etc. Yet none of this diversity is reflected in our city council, mayor's office, or leadership positions in the city of Malden. We must move beyond being aspirational in the pursuit of social justice, fairness, and equity in the city of Malden, and must be willing to invest in this initiative long term. We must also move in the direction of transformative change and not penalize those who come forward to share their experiences here in Malden. Not doing so will be at best a performative gesture under the disguise of being progressive, and at the very worst, harbors the toxic and harmful practices while being complicit in the failure to truly address racism, homophobia, ableism, transphobia, xenophobia in our own very backyard. We, the Maldonians, deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, I know you don't have any more, but we actually had one in the chat, so I'm gonna allow Rebecca to speak, okay?
Yep.
Okay, Rebecca, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yep, good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Epler-Epstein. I live at 154 Savin Street in Malden.
Great, thank you, go ahead.
I would like to echo what many have already said in support of the DEI position that has been proposed and supporting that it be elevated to a director position. This is a crucial investment in our community and in making this a more inclusive place for everyone to live. And it's incredibly important that it be funded adequately for that person to be able to do the work that's necessary. If we underfund this position, if they do not have the power that's needed to actually make change, then we're just setting up someone for failure, and we're continuing to exacerbate the systemic oppression that already exists in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, oh, hold on. Did they get kicked out of the meeting when they get removed? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had a constituent, Isabel said the same thing happened to her. I'm not sure what's going on, but that doesn't usually seem to happen.
I didn't think it did last time we've used it. Okay, I apologize. Okay. Okay, so clerk, next order of business.
Be the approval of minutes 388-20, October 13th, 389-20, October 20th, 390-20, October 27th, 391-20, November 10th, and 392-20, November 17th.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilor Winslow's motion to approve, seconded by Councilor Kamel. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
DeMaria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
Yes.
Spatafora.
Yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Yes.
Carries 11-0.
Minutes are approved. Next order of business.
Paper 393-20, order be it hereby ordained, section 11.24.020 of the revised ordinances of 2020 be amended by adding guidelines to applicants and the reviewing authority regarding the preferred locations and configurations for wireless telecommunication facilities in the city, provided that nothing in this section shall be construed to permit a wireless telecommunication facility in any location or configuration that is otherwise prohibited by this chapter. Adding in section that the City of Malden ordinance prohibits any new 5G wireless telecommunication facilities in areas zoned residential and require annual EMF readings and to determine that the wireless facility is within compliance of federal and state laws. New wireless telecommunication facilities are permitted in commercial, industrial, and open space zoning districts.
Councilor Spatafora for the paper.
To be brief, it speaks for itself. I think there's been a lot of discussion about certain health issues. Certainly, I think Councilor, I'm looking about Councilor Murphy calls it street trash or some type of trash. So this was just something that I saw.
Skyline litter.
Yes, litter. I saw some other communities in the western part of the country have done this. I spoke to a couple of councilors. Certainly want to debate it. Want to make sure that we do allow for technology to continue, but I think we have to do it in a safe manner. Just referring to ordinance to have a discussion. That's it, Madam President.
Seconded.
Councilor Spatafora's motion to refer this paper to ordinance, seconded by Councilor O'Malley. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
DeMaria.
DeMaria, yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafora.
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, no.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Paper carries 10-1.
Okay, next order of business.
Paper 394-20, order be it hereby ordained that Chapter 11, Section 6.08.070.b, 6.080.070d, B, D, B, and 12.12, 1.90 of the revised ordinance of 220 be amended by changing the special permit granting authority for marijuana establishments from the Malden City Council to the Planning Board.
Councilor Spatafor, Winslow for the paper.
Yeah, I know we had the long discussion last week about kind of pausing further applications to the Cannabis Licensing Commission. So I mentioned that maybe one of the things we should look at is special permitting authority. So I put in this paper, but I also know that I did listen in on the Cannabis Licensing Committee. They have some recommendations too that they'd like to bring forward. So I just think it'd be worth advancing this paper and also asking the Cannabis Licensing Commission to come in and see what suggestions they might have to expedite the process for the next set of applications and give an update there now that kind of the first wave has happened. So I just want to do this. I didn't want to wait any longer, so I just felt that we should move ahead and get, discuss whether changes need to happen or just go ahead with what we got. So that's the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody second Councilor Winslow's motion to refer this paper to ordinance?
I'll second it.
Yeah, but I was
sorry.
No, that's okay. No, Council Spatafor, you're very willing to second it, but you second it, but I would like to speak for a moment after you do. If I could, Council.
That's fine.
Go ahead, Councilor Murphy. I apologize. I didn't see your hand up.
No, I didn't put my hand up. So I let Council Spatafor, please let him be the second.
Okay.
I would just like to say I am not sure how I feel about this either way, but I really do believe that we need to, as a council, go back and speak about this based on everything that we knew, when we decided the initial vote. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to each side of it, but I truly believe it does deserve discussion at this point. So, I would like to go down is stating that I am not the second. Councilor Spatafor is. But I think it's something that we deserve to speak to. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, on Councilor Winslow's motion, seconded by Councilor Spatafor, the clerk will call the roll.
Just a question. What do we?
I apologize, Councilor Anderson.
That's right. It looks like it's an order. So is the motion to adopt the order, or is the motion to
refer order ordinance?
Okay, that's not, I didn't hear that being said.
Sorry,
so the order to refer to ordinance, yes, on Councilor Anderson, yes.
Okay.
Kamau,
yes.
Condon,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafor,
Spatafor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Paper carries 11-0.
Great, next order of business.
Communication from Council O'Malley submitted as candidate for City Council President in 2021 per Rule 10.00, designation of presiding officer.
Am I good?
Yes, Councilor O'Malley, go ahead.
Honorable members of the City Council, as you know, Malden has many long-standing traditions which are valuable to preserve in our community. One example is the tradition of selecting a president of the City Council. To help inform the public of the process for selecting a president, I submit this communication into the public record. The process. The rules of the City Council define the process for the selection of a City Council president. The City Council Rule 10, Designation of Presiding Officer, states, quote, meetings of the City Council shall be presided over by a president, who shall be chosen annually among its members. In addition to the defined process, there is also the long-standing tradition that the presidency goes to the longest-serving member of the council, who has yet to serve in the role and has expressed interest in serving in that capacity. The benefit of this tradition is that it provides stability, builds trust, and provides members an opportunity to flourish and grow professionally in the role. Since I joined the City Council in 2016, this tradition has been honored and has helped councilors Murphy, Crow, DeMaria, and Sika serve for the first time and grow in the leadership role. However, this tradition was cast aside in 2020 when it was my turn to succeed Councilor Sika as council president. At the time, I was told I was too young and inexperienced to take on the leadership role of council president, and that my drive to bring accountability to the council had rubbed some members of the council the wrong way. I was asked to step aside so that Council President Sika could serve a second term and that I would be allowed to serve in 2021. Hearing the feedback, I chose to trust my colleagues and stepped aside without any fanfare. In fact, showing no acrimony with being bypassed, I nominated Councilor Sika for her second term. To my dismay, there is now another attempt to bypass my turn for president and deprive me of the same opportunity to grow in the role as council president. Again, the reasoning that is given is that I have rubbed my fellow councilors the wrong way because of my advocacy to bring accountability and transparency to the city council. How did we get here? As a reminder to my colleagues and the public, before I joined the council in 2016, meetings often featured yelling, racist and xenophobic diatribes, and a body incapable of controlling belligerent members. There was a toxic environment that was normalized and rarely challenged. It was so out of control that Mayor Christensen and his staff were banned from attending executive session meetings of the city council. There was a blatant disrespect for people of color, women, immigrants, people with disabilities, and any member of the public who did not fit the image of a straight, white, cisgendered male. Along I came, trusting and ready to be a bridge builder in our community. I had no idea of the politics going on behind the scenes, but I quickly learned that there was deep-rooted dysfunction in our body. There are too many examples of abusive behavior to mention here in detail. I was appalled by the behavior and made the decision to root out the sources of the dysfunction. We as a body and as a community have greatly benefited from my actions in this respect, but we still have more work to do. During my time on the city council, I have consistently elevated and respected the diverse voices of our community. In 2016, the council passed a resolution in support of our Muslim community, and we tried to pass an inclusionary zoning ordinance to help our residents age in place. There was virulent backlash, and my colleagues and I were often slandered and libeled in the newspaper and online. I personally was only able to weather the storm with the help of our community and my colleagues, particularly Councilors DeMaria, Crow, and Anderson. I thank them for their guidance during that difficult time of my life, and I will not forget their roles as mentors early on. We have been through a lot together, and it has not been easy growing into my role as a public official. On top of the already challenging environment, I have chosen to be open and honest with the public about the fact that I'm gay. Coming out is a lifelong process, and I still get butterflies when I speak about myself in this manner. I choose to be true about who I am, not because it is easy, but because it is the right thing to do. Similarly, I have chosen to take the harder, less politically expedient route time and time again, because it is the right thing to do to ensure transparency, accountability, and the public trust in the city of Malden. As the city council has grown, so have I. We have all improved together, and I look forward to continuing to develop with each of you. As council president, my goal is to continue to lead this growth process through transparency, engagement with each and every one of you, and being fully inclusive of all voices. Working together as a team, we can accomplish our shared and individual goals to improve the quality of life in our community. I hereby respectfully submit my candidacy for president of the Malden City Council for the year of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, could you please place that on file?
Yeah.
Next order of business.
Paper 396-20, committee report, public property. Paper 354-19, petitions, externet petitions filed for small cell at 71 Plainfield Ave, 84 Durso Ave, 183 Highland Ave, 5254 Malden Street.
I'm sorry, I was checking the chat.
Councilor O'Malley, this paper.
Councilor O'Malley for the paper.
Is this the small cell antennas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are these the ones we want to deny?
I apologize. Committee report. So on Councilor O'Malley's motion to receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafora,
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Committee report is received.
Are
Committee
these the ones we want to deny?
report,
That's
O'Malley.
correct.
Go
That's
ahead.
correct.
So we reviewed these in public properties. We've had public hearings, and we determined that these do not live up to our ordinance. They're often too close to residences. So we unanimously chose to deny these petitions. So I would move to deny these petitions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. On Councilor O'Malley's motion to deny, seconded by Councilor Linehan, the clerk will call the.
Can I have a point of information?
Go ahead, Councilor.
Can you read the addresses you're going to deny for the public record?
Sure.
You mind just doing that?
Sure, it's 71 Plainfield Ave,
Yep.
84 Durso Ave, 183 Highland Ave, and 52-54 Malden Street.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Clerk Lucy.
Okay. Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
DeMaria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Petitions are denied.
Great, thank you. Before we go on, there's some chats. I apologize if I clicked the wrong button, removing the speakers from speaking. I did not do it intentionally. I don't know if it was me, if it was, I apologize, but I'm getting some really, unsettling texts in the chat at this moment. And it was not I did not mean to remove these people from tonight's meeting because they spoke about the diversity, equity, inclusion officer. That was not my intention. My intention was to just remove them from the screen, which I thought I did that same exact thing 2 weeks ago when we had people speaking in public. So my apologies. It was not my intention to deliberately remove you from this evening's meeting. I apologize. Next order of business.
No matter how long we do Zoom, there'll always be issues, so it'll be nice to get back together in person. 397-20, Committee Report, Finance and Rules Ordinance. Order be it hereby ordained that Section 2.20.060 of the revised ordinances of 2020 be amended by adding primary operator of the public water system to the unclassified employee salary schedule with a salary of $20,000.
Okay, on.
That'd be
Too many screens going on. I apologize.
either Spatafora
So,
or
Councilor Kamel, do you want to do this? Is that okay?
Yeah, so motion to receive the report.
Yep. So on Councilor Kamel's motion to receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Mel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Committee report
Committee
is
report is
received.
received. Councilor Kamel for the committee.
Great, thank you. So 397 and 398 are both sort of related to the same thing. So this has to do with primary operator of public water system. A city of our size, the nature of our city, we're required to have this position. And the person who serves in this position is required to have a particular license. I believe it's called a D4 license. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what this has done is it has broken out a differential to be given to whoever is designated as that person to either in the near term the city intends to have somebody who is a full-time employee get this additional differential to bring their salary up. In the future, we could, depending on our needs, have it be separated and have somebody sort of on a part-time basis. It's, you know, for flexibility, for the fact that we need this person to be designated due to law to be the primary operator of the system, and also just to compete in a very tight market for these folks, these kind of licenses, and also to serve as a, we're very much related to that, serve as incentive for others to start getting up that license ladder, because I believe there's 4 levels of that ladder. And I would defer to anybody else, or Councilor Spatafora as well, if he wants to make a comment through the chair. So, thank you.
Councilor
Second.
Murphy, I see your hand up.
Did you say Councilor Murphy?
Yes, I did.
You did. Yes, you did. Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I totally agree with Councilor Camel's position on this paper. One of the things I really like about this paper is the fact that in the past, it was always the manager that had the D4 license. So if you had the D4 license, you like automatically kind of got, you know, moved up to manager. What I like about this particular paper is it gives somebody on the ground level with, you know, basically the drive to go for their D1, their D2, their D3, and their D4 license. They don't necessarily have to take on the managership role. They can actually do that kind of as a side, you know, person that's going to contribute to the community. So I think it's a great way to give, you know, folks, you know, an ability to achieve for something. And as we spoke about in City Council, I think Councilor DiMaria asked, you know, if our folks want to go for it, is, you know, going for D1, D2, D3, do we pay for it? And the answer was yes. So I think it really gives, you know, our employees, you know, an initiative to better themselves, better the community. So I'm in full support of this. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm in full support of this too, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to incentivize these employees to move forward to get that D1, 2, 3, and 4, because the person that's in this position isn't going to be here forever. And part of the responsibility of our directors and department heads are to develop the people underneath to step into these positions. And we as a council should be ready to work for that, to probably pay for the courses, reimburse them, whatever we have to do, but we need people to step in because they charge you an outrageous amount to go to these private companies to hire these people as consultants. So hopefully that they'll move forward in that direction. Very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor, let's see, Kamel.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add, I should have added as a sort of a matter of standard procedure. We voted this out of the committee, had a lot of discussion, voted this out of the committee unanimously. And I believe you're going to hear some of the conversation repeated back here, but I should have noted that as I introduced it. So just want to add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DiMaria.
Thank you, Madam President. I also agree with my fellow councilors. This was a great move, great suggestion coming forth, and nothing like promoting within and encouraging our employees to continue their education and so recognized in their paycheck. So I second the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Winslow, you're next.
Yeah, providing safe, clean water is a very important task we have in Malden, especially knowing how much we do have lead out there in our pipes. So making sure we have people in place and are encouraging people to take that on in their role in the city is important. So I'm fully supportive of this, and this is an important position. It may not always get a lot of glamour to it, but keeping our residents delivering safe water is very important. So this is a small investment and a very important thing for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. In addition to all that my colleagues have said about the importance of this position, let us not forget about things that have happened in cities like Flint, Michigan, where the water system wasn't properly maintained and considered the kind of health risk that it became. I had I'll call it the pleasure of working for the Mass Water Resource Authority before I retired about 20 years ago, and got a real understanding about this importance of this very limited supply of that we need from our natural resources, and that is water. Having someone who's in touch with our water system, overseeing it, making sure that it's kept clean and pristine and operated properly, and being able to deliver to the households of Malden is so important. This limited amount of money that we're putting into this is money well spent, and I'm sure that whoever goes into that position will serve us well. So I, along with the rest of everyone else who's spoken, certainly are in favor of this position going forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Seeing no other hands up, Councilor Kamel, did you make a motion already? Well, will you?
Yeah, motion to,
Roll as amended?
yeah, I apologize.
That's all right.
To roll as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilor Kamel's motion to enroll this as amended, seconded by Councilor Di Maria. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Mel,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Di Maria,
Di Maria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley. O'Malley,
He must have left the meeting.
Spatafora.
Is it me?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Sorry, I'm
O'Malley.
chewing. My apologies. Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Papers enrolled.
Next order of business.
Paper 398-20, Finance and Rules Ordinance, paper 374-20, order be hereby ordained that section 2.12.100 of the revised ordinances of 2020 be amended by adding section C to include a primary operator of the public water system.
Motion to accept the report.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
For a second, any second on that?
Yes,
Second.
Di Maria.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Mel,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Di Maria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy. Murphy.
Yes, but is that more of an ordinance?
I think it is.
Should that be, great, Councilor Spatafora?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so
fine.
both of these really are ordinance changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's to add to the
Yeah.
salary schedule is what we just did, and this is to add the section. So.
Okay, all right, then yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes. The committee report is received. Councilor Spatafora for the committee?
Yeah, so this is the sister paper to the one Councilor Kamel mentioned. This is just the ordinance change along with the financial aspect of creating this specialized license now designee. And I think everybody eloquently has stated it doesn't have to be any particular person, but they're identifying a pot of money. And I think just to reiterate what was said the last meeting, those tests for the D1 licenses, all the way up to all the training, all the licenses are reimbursable based on the union contract, based on Mr. Knox's input. And if another individual were to go for this, we would find a funding mechanism to do that as well. So at this point, it's one individual for this $20,000. This is the ordinance to match. Ordinance committee met on this along with finance and voted this out unanimously. Looking for your support in this paper. Thank you, Madam President.
Wait a second.
Second.
Councilor Spatafora's motion to enroll the ordinance as amended, seconded by Councilor Kamel. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Tika.
Yes.
Papers enrolled.
Next order of business.
Committee report, 399-20, committee report, finance, paper 369-20, order that the sum of $3 million is appropriated from available general fund free cash to pay costs for street paving, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, adding the following language. Any street repaving project funded by the funding source include, to the greatest extent, number one, improvements to ensure crossings meet the standards of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Number two, new pavement markings consistent with Malden's complete street policy and Malden bike path plan. And three, measures to preserve existing trees or replace any tree removed at a nearby location.
Councilor Kamel's motion to receive the committee report. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Oh, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Tika.
Yes.
The report is received.
Councilor Kamel for the committee.
Thank you. So this is another sister act here. So 399 and 400 are both related. One is this sort of, I'd say, the equity portion of the free cash portion. The other is going to be the bonding portion. I don't know if we want to sort of bring them both or pass them both separately or together. But they both pertain to overall a $6 million initiative to do over many of our city streets that are in dire need of it. The proposal from the mayor's office is to, rather than sort of bring a list of streets and haggle at the committee level and at the council level, to sort of look at this holistically, accept this as one package, and then the mayor's office will work with us throughout the city to do it in a very engineering efficient manner. And I think we've all sort of, the trust between the wards has grown. There's a little less bickering, and I think a lot of that, as was mentioned in committee, has been due to the successful success in the past of the what I'll just sort of nickname the Uber money that has been, instead of spread across the city in many different low impact initiatives in the name of everybody getting a little piece, has been focused on things that really need it. And hopefully we're going to see the same thing occur with this money. So I will defer to my colleagues if we want to talk about this, debate this, and pass this separately, or if we want to bring 400 in and do that at the same time, which is a bonding piece.
Councilor Murphy, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Chairperson Kamel, just to kind of maybe drill down into this a little bit. My understanding of this $6 million is a little different from what we've done in the past. It's not just we're not putting out a number of streets, but we're really talking about, in the past, we looked at streets very holistically. We were looking at them when we picked a street, whether it was, redepth reclamation, and we were looking at kind of this overall total reconstruction of a street, city sidewalks, street, gas, water, trees, etc. My understanding from what I was told about this particular package is that this package was looking at more kind of how we could take $6 million and really impact the roadways. So we're looking at streets that.
Well, let me correct, and I believe maybe if I use the word, when I said holistically, I meant across the city, not each street being done holistically in terms of the sidewalk.
Like milling and regrinding.
Yeah, and thank you. No, so it's not different than I just wasn't.
Right.
I did not have that level of detail in what I said. You were correct. These are streets that don't require the water. They don't require the sidewalks. It's specifically, in most cases, don't require the sidewalks, except for incidental ADA kind of stuff. They're basically, as you said, yes, how we do the best job across the city of affecting the actual roadway itself. So thank you for that level of detail. So I apologize if using the word holistically was confusing. So.
No, I just kind of wanted to, make sure we're kind of all on the same path. This is kind of a little bit of a different project than we've looked at in the past. And I think, we'll be able to stretch the dollar a little bit further and create a better roadway system, within the city of Malden, which would include Council Winslow, which I know is something that, is near and dear to your heart, bike markings, et cetera. And as Councilor Camille said earlier, ADA compliance where, appropriate and feasible. So, but it's not that full depth reclamation and holistic approach to each and every street that we've seen in the past. So, but, I think that we'll be able to really kind of make a mark in the city of Malden and create, a better travel environment and a better neighborhoods, which is, as everyone knows, I'm all about the neighborhoods, protect the neighborhoods. So I think this is a great initiative, a great package. And, I'm looking forward to see the streets that, come out of, what the engineering department and the mayor's department sees. And I'm sure we'll have some negotiations that will occur after this package is passed, similar to what we did with the Uber money, as Councilor Camille said earlier. So thank you. I'm in support of this.
Thank you. Councilor Winslow, your hand is up.
Yeah. Oops. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great to see the mayor submit this package. I mean, we have over 100 miles of roads. Theoretically, we should be doing this type of work, at least 5 miles of road. And I don't think we've been achieving that per year. So this is a great thing to do the mill and overlaying as much as possible. And I appreciate the Finance Committee of also entertaining the idea that makes sure that as we're doing those things, we're not forgetting about the future. We are making sure that residents who need handicap ramps are taken care of as part of this, that we're thinking of the future in terms of complete streets so that all residents can take benefit to that, but in a cost-effective way. We're only looking at pavement markings that we'd be putting down anyway, and doing those in a way that benefits more people. And then also just making sure that, if trees are impacted by this, that we are replacing those. So I appreciate the Finance Committee making those amendments to the mayor's recommendation, that those things that we care near and dear about are also reflected in that, and that will result in a higher quality community for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. I strongly support this paper and thank the administration for taking this approach, because a lot of these streets, they wouldn't have been done for another 10 years if we stayed in the course we were going on. So kudos to Mayor Christensen. I think we will be able to stretch the dollar and get a lot of our streets that really were deplorable because of the weight trying to square away the other streets, so I support this approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Councilor O'Malley.
I also want to express support. I said this during committee, but I think it's important to say it again here on the floor. I have, and I believe we all have, the utmost confidence in our city engineer, Yem Lip, to do a cost-effective and very competent and efficient road replacement project. I think giving him the freedom to put the money where he thinks it will have its biggest bang for its buck is important, and I'm fully in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands up, Councilor Kamel, you want to repeat your motion? Did you make a motion to vote on these both together? Are we allowed to do that, clerk?
No, we have two different papers, so they have to.
No, I apologize. Yeah. So a lot of what we said will carry over to the
Right.
we should do it separately.
Okay.
So just, I mean, we could vote, I mean, theoretically, we could vote to authorize the free cash, but then the bonding fails and it slashes in half. But what, I mean, I would say if you're gonna vote on one, I would advise vote the same on both.
Okay.
So motion to approve paper 399.
I'll second that motion.
Councilor Kamel's motion to adopt this paper, seconded by Councilor Condon. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson. Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Di Maria.
Di Maria, yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
Betafora.
Betafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Paper carries. Adopted 11-0.
Next order of business.
Paper 400-20, Committee Report Finance, Paper 370-20, order that the sum of $3 million is appropriated to pay costs of street repaving, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation of the treasurer with the approval of the mayor is authorized to borrow said amount under the pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 7.1 of the general laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes in the city thereof. Any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds and notes approved by this order, or pursuant to any other loan orders approved by the city prior to the date hereof, lest any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of issuance of such bonds and notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote, or pursuant to any other loan orders approved by the city prior to the date hereof, as the case may be, in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount, adding the following language. Any street repaving project funded by this funding source include to the greatest extent, number one, improvements to ensure crossings meet the standards of the American Disability Act. 2, new pavement markings consistent with Malden's complete street policy and Malden bike plan. And 3, measures to preserve existing trees or replace any tree removed at a nearby location.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Di Maria.
Yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
I apologize. What paper number are we on right now?
400.
400-20.
Yes.
Spetafora.
Betafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Paper is received. Committee reports received.
Councilor Kamel for the committee.
Yeah, as stated before, this is sort of just the second half. It's the fun. It's the financing, the debt financing portion of the package. That's the only thing different than the last time around. Than paper 399, which was the spending from the free cash portion.
So Winslow motion to adopt the order
Well,
or the report.
motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt. Yeah.
Second.
Seconded by Winslow.
So second or whatever.
There you
A
go.
motion to adopt is-
Kamel's
I was about to say, as a-
seconded by Councilor Winslow.
Yeah.
The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Anderson, yes.
Kamel.
Kamel, yes.
Condon.
Condon, yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Di Maria.
Di Maria, yes.
Linehan.
Linehan, yes.
Murphy.
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley.
Yes.
Spetafora.
Betafora, yes.
Winslow.
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Paper's adopted 11-0.
Next order of business.
Paper 401-20, committee report, finance, paper 371-20, order that fiscal year 2021 adopted general fund appropriations order, Schedule B, be hereby amended by reducing the appropriation by $4,164,407 in the corresponding fiscal year 2021 budget contingency expense to be eliminated.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DiMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafora,
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Committee report is received.
Councilor Kamel for the committee.
Thank you. So as many remember, in June, we went through the what was a much more stressful budget situation than we have in several years due to the pandemic. At that time, it was known that there would have to be some adjustment due to variations in state aid. At that time, our financial team did what turned out to be a pretty nearly perfect job in forecasting exactly what the ramifications would be in state aid. And we didn't determine at the time a budget cut. What we called it at that point was a budget contingency because there was still some uncertainty to it. We knew we would have to come back to it in the fall after those numbers were finalized. Well, it's the fall, those numbers were finalized. Turns out we were all pretty, they and our finance team were very close in their projections. And then this is sort of just the finalization of that to take that budget contingency and formally take that out of the budget and formally set the spending rates as we all discussed in the budget process. So motion to adopt.
Okay, on Councilor Kamel's motion to adopt, seconded by Councilor DiMaria, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DiMaria,
DiMaria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy. Murphy?
Oh, she went to the ladies' room.
Okay. O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafora,
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Okay, paper carries 10-0.
Was adopted. Next order of business.
Paper 402-20, committee report, finance, paper 375-20, order that the sum of $40,000 be in the same is hereby transferred from available general funds free cash to the mayor's office salary account in order to hire a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator for the remainder of the fiscal year.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to receive the committee report, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DiMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy, O'Malley,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Committee report is received.
Councilor Kamel for the committee.
Thank you. And as we heard earlier, this is quite an important issue for the entire city. We had a good conversation about this in finance. It was voted out unanimously, recommended to approve. A lot of conversation did happen, and I reminded the committee and those listening at the time, and I'd like to also sort of reiterate that here for all the folks listening. The way the spending usually goes, it is proposed by the administration. It's our job to either say yes, less, or no, right? So we can't explicitly add to it. we can only deny it or cut it. I believe the many in the committee, and I know I've heard others on the council, and I think I'll let them speak for themselves, have signaled, of course, if we continue, if we've got continued need to grow this, we are very supportive of that. But at the moment, I believe it was our judgment to say yes to this, get it started, don't let the good be the enemy of great, and start down this process of building this function for our city. In full knowledge that hiring diversity is only step one. We need to continue to push forward in the inclusion to make sure that the folks hired are having an impact on the culture of our city government, so that city government reflects the needs and the reality of the residents that we do serve. And so it would be my motion to adopt.
Okay, I have a couple of hands up. Councilor Anderson, you're first.
Thank you, Madam President. This paper certainly needs to be approved and gone forward. We need to give the community a thanks for their interest and comments and show of concern for the city, making sure that we put our money where our mouth is. We know that this proposed money that's here in front of us is just for the balance of the fiscal year, which will start this position probably wouldn't start until sometime in January. So I think the message has been loud and clear, not only from the community, but as well as many of us have spoken with the mayor's office about our need to make sure that this position is not just window dressing, that the position has the support of not just the mayor's office, but the hiring managers, the folks who are actually going to be doing making the commitments to bring people of color into these positions where we're underrepresented. You've heard me talk about this for many years in the council, and I'm so proud of my colleagues in the council who when this paper has been brought forward, have voiced their strong support for this. So we need to do more than just talk about how nice it is for us to have a diverse community. We need to have diversity in our workforce. We need to have equity in all these positions. And so this is a good first step, and I applaud the mayor, applaud the council, and hope that this paper goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Linehan, you're next. We can't hear you, Councilor Linehan. You're not muted, though. It's weird. No, it's not showing muted, but your sound is not there. You want to try and fix it? I'll come back to you. Okay.
Can I just interject, Councilor Linehan? There's a little recording button or emblem next to your name. Maybe that is affecting your ability to speak. I don't know. Just something I noticed. I don't know. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
That's what it is.
Well, Councilor Spatafora he just did have that same button.
I hit the button to see if it wouldn't work on mine. I was beta testing. I never hit the button before, so now I was intrigued. I'm not gonna lie.
We can still not hear you. That's not your problem. Okay. All right, try and figure it out. I'll check back with you before we're done, okay? Councilor Winslow, you're next.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to thank all the community members who commented on this, and that will hold the mayor and the council accountable for making sure that we go on. We as a council can only vote on the finance papers that the mayor presents. So I am supportive of moving forward on this. And I just, for my fellow councilors, I've spent most of my career in government working on systematic change, from getting the lead out of gasoline to working with communities to that don't have bicycle infrastructure to get that. So, so this may ultimately take even bolder change than just having a director. I could imagine even having a director in the schools and something similar on the city side. And also, I think what we know of is that it's going to take more than just personnel. It's going to take a commitment to salaries that are competitive so we can recruit people. Maybe even putting, I know in Boston in their schools, they create mentorships and pipelines so that people of color can advance and be recruited. So, so I think, hiring someone as a coordinator, getting a strategic plan and putting together that bolder plan of both personnel and a directorship, as well as the resources that'll make, that'll be necessary to make that person successful and that group successful. I think this is a start, so I'm definitely going to support it, but I encourage and say that I will do everything I can and work with the community and this person to make sure we come up with a bold plan that creates that both short-term and long-term thing to make sure the goals to create diversity and inclusion happen, both in hiring and in retaining and promoting people. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy, you're next.
Thank you, Madam President. And as we always say, no one ever likes to go after Councilor Anderson. As he always says, he always kind of lays it out on the table. But I have to say, Councilor Winslow, not really happy to go after you after just that speech.
How about that, huh?
I think you just might have risen to Councilor Anderson's level with that little speech. So one of the things, so kudos to you, both of you. Councilor Anderson, you know how I feel about you. You and I have had many discussions about this, and I think this is a great paper. I'm glad to see our city moving forward. My biggest concern, at which I addressed, in committee when we spoke about it, and I just kind of want to bring this up. I'm fully supporting this paper, by the way, but my concern is that the schools have the principals and the superintendent really have the overreaching effect on who's hired in the school system, and the school system is our largest population of employees. And I know we can't do anything here tonight, but I would just like to go on record as saying that I would hope that the person that we put in this position, that the administration, the mayor, as he's chair of the school committee, that this person will have an impact on our school department. Because as I roll back and I listen to all the things that I've heard over the years, what I hear is our kids saying that they don't have teachers of color who look like them. Okay, I really don't hear a lot about, and not that it's not right, but I don't hear a lot of comments about City Hall not being reflective of the diversity. I hear some things about the council and the school committee not being, reflective of the committee, of the community, but it's mostly the school system not being reflective. So I would hope that this position, will have an impact over the total umbrella of our city, and not just, when we take away the school system, or we take away, the fire and the police, which, basically have to go by, civil service, et cetera. I hope that this particular position will embrace the overall diversity of our city, our community as a whole, in all positions within it. So I'm in full support of that. Just wanted to kind of get that out on the record that, I'd really like to make sure that it's not just a finite number of folks that once you get past the schools, you get past civil service, that this position has impact over. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor Linehan, we're going to try you again.
Okay, can you hear me?
You can.
Yes, I have no idea what happened, but it looks like logging out and coming back in helped.
Great.
Thank you for letting me have another opportunity to
No
speak.
worries.
So as I was starting to say, and I missed some of what was said, so I apologize if it's redundant, but we did have a good, robust discussion about this in committee, and I've certainly talked to a lot of constituents as well. I'm fully in support of taking this step to hire a DEI position for the city, and I am going to vote favorably on this tonight. But I do want to acknowledge that I share many community members' concerns, about the title and the salary for the position. I think it may not be starting out quite as high of a level as what some of us might hope. Having said that, I do appreciate the research that's gone into the job description and the salary range. But I do think we might have a tough job ahead as the position gets advertised and as we begin interviewing. And I think, we should be prepared to work at the hiring process until we get it right, and then do whatever it takes to help that person that's ultimately hired to succeed. As I said in the committee meeting, I personally am pledging to do my part to help recruit for this position. And I hope that all of us can work together to tap our networks, to bring in some strong, diverse candidates. And then, as I said, to help shepherd them through the process and help them succeed. So I'm definitely in support of this. I think, we've illuminated a lot of the challenges associated with creating a new position like this. And I, for one, will help to get it right. I know that this is just starting point. I was encouraged by the discussion that we had. And I think that we are hearing what the community is saying, and I think we can all work to get this right. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to clarify for the public, the job description that I reviewed and for Councilor Murphy, it does include the schools. I don't know how much it will influence the state law that dictates that principals have final hiring decision. But I think the fact that the mayor is the chair of the school committee has some weight. I was hoping to propose an amendment which would strike coordinator and insert director in a subsequent one to increase the salary from the 65 to 85, from 65 to a salary range of 85 to 110. But in looking at the paper, it is a finance paper. We do not have the ability to increase finance papers. And I believe that because this position is in the mayor's office, we also do not have the control of creating it by ordinance, which would give us a little bit leeway. So, to Councilor Kamel's statement, don't let perfect get in the way of good. I think that, this unfortunately is a circumstance like that. And I do believe that there will be commitment to expand this role, hopefully into a department with a director. So I will be supporting it tonight, but I do have faith that we will improve and increase this department. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DeMaria.
Thank you, Madam President. I voted for this in finance. I enjoyed the dialogue we had, and I also respect every speaker that came into public comment tonight. So I basically have changed my view 3 times during this meeting tonight. With the help of my fellow counselors, I will be supporting this tonight, but I really, really strongly encourage and trust in our administration that if within 30 days of posting this position, the recognition of not getting good candidates, not getting the qualified candidates that we need for such an important position, that I trust that the mayor's office will recognize that and will move forward with a higher salary and with a title that goes along with it. I'm really, really concerned that that this isn't going to be filled, and I just truly, I will support it tonight, but I trust the administration will do the right thing with this position, and hats off to whoever, is awarded this position, because it's a huge role and so needed in our community. So thank you, Madam President. I yield.
Thank you. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. I fully support this paper, and really, when you take out the civil service part of city government, fire, police, doesn't leave a lot of positions that are filled on that side of the coin. But it's going to start with the schools, because they're an essential part for this to work. We're entering an era of diversity, and the schools are going to play a big part in that. And I think that the school committee people fully understand that. So hopefully they make a good choice coming up for superintendent. And I hope they hear our message loud and clear, because that's a big part of being successful in promoting this diversity going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Crowe?
Thank you, Madam President. I too am in total support of this. I think this is just step one. This is not the end of this conversation. I think that, we've heard the concerns. We heard it when the paper first came out. We heard it again tonight. I think the administration has heard the concerns. I think they are continuing to do their research onto how you develop this. I think it's a good start. And I know we'll all keep sort of our eye. I know the community will keep our eye on the superintendent and the administration, really making sure that they do have the support and the infrastructure to actually make an impact in our community as a whole. So I think this is a great first step, and I'm fully in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Spatafora?
Am I unmuted now? Sorry about that. You hear me, Councilor Sika?
Yes.
Sorry about that. A little trouble, Mike. I think, as every council has stated, this is step one on the journey. Certainly understand first of all, I appreciate the public's interest in this. There's not too many jobs that I can recall as being a council where they were this passionate about not only adding a position, but certainly increasing that salary range. So I hope this continues when we hire anybody, because I think it's good to hear from the council, from the public. I would just say this, that I think even members of the public acknowledge there is going to be a lot of work here. And it's probably going to take the multi-department heads, as well as probably more than one person in this role. And I think the mayor's approach to hiring this person at this level and build upon that will allow us to take a look at all the work that's probably going to be done throughout the year, and then make a decision to hire more and move this person up in the ranks. But I would just say, from my professional career, it's not tied to just the hiring. It really is continuous career development. It is continuous leadership, and it's training your current staff along with new individuals that reflect the community to understand each other and do strategic planning, recruiting, retention. In my company, I think this is something that I mentioned to the mayor is. This person or this individual should also be tasked with looking to help bring increased opportunities for minorities and women, or anybody for that matter, to do business in terms of procurement strategies. Having these businesses have the ability to work with the city of Malden to engage directly with us and bring revenue that way. So it's just not the hiring process here. And the reason why I say that is I agree. I think it's going to take multiple people, multiple departments. But every councilor here has said, we got to look at all the big three: the fire, the police, and the school department, and they have their own sets of rules for hiring. But to me, it's all the other work that has to be done on the ground level before we put these incentives in, and to really start seeing the difference. And that will take more than a year, and it will not be a one-sided process. But I'm just happy that we have the opportunity to start working on this, and potentially by removing any barriers and continue to work to build a force and certainly a leadership team that reflects the community. So I 100% support that. Along with my fellow councils. I know the mayor sent a communication earlier that referenced his thought process and why the salary was started here. It's competitive, and I look forward to seeing this person hired in 2021. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Kamel, did you make a motion to adopt this paper?
I did. Motion to
Did
adopt.
we get a second?
Second.
Okay. Councilor Kamel's motion to adopt, seconded by Councilor Anderson. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Di Maria,
Di Maria, yes.
Linehan. Linehan,
She's on mute.
Nope, we can't hear you again.
Give it a thumbs up.
Just put your
Yeah,
thumb
nod
up.
your head. Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Papers adopted 11-0. All right, so you want next, I'll read all these
Next order of
licenses.
business, sorry.
Okay. Paper four, there's a lot of them. Paper 403-20, committee report, license petition, papers listed below.
You received the committee report?
Oh,
Yes.
we haven't done that yet, Barbara. He's calling them.
Paper 330-20, petition, Class 2 Malden Auto Brokers, 259 Main Street, Malden, 35 cars. Transfer, paper 337-20, petition, Maximum Auto Sales, 105 Broadway, Malden, 31 cars. Renewal, Class 2 Dealer 1 Motors, 77 Broadway, Malden, 48 cars. Rio 8 Auto Group, 342-20, petition, Class 2 Hub Starters and Alternator, 172 Malden, 4 cars. Paper 343-20, petition, Class 2 John Service, 200 Beach Street, Malden, 15 cars. Paper 344-20, petition, Class 2 Linden Automotive, 121 Beach Street, Malden, 19 cars. Paper 345-20, petition, Malden Auto Brokers, 225 Eastern Ave, Malden, 20 cars. Paper 346-20, petition, Class 2 Malden Auto Sales, 147 Ferry Street, Malden, 25 cars. Paper 347-20, petition, Class 2 Prestige Motors, 600 Broadway, Malden, Mass, 67 cars. Paper 349-20, petition, Class 2 Uni Auto Center, 369 Salem Street, Malden, 20 cars. Paper 350-20, petition, extended hours, license, Supreme Food Mart, 1018 Eastern Ave, Malden, hours 24/7. It's a renewal. Paper 35-20, petition, extended hours, Planet Fitness, 795 Eastern Ave, Malden, Mass, Monday 12 a.m., Friday 9 o'clock p.m., 24 hours. It's a renewal. Paper 352-20, petition, extended hours, license, Honeydew Donuts, 691 Eastern Ave, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's a renewal. Petition, extended hours, license, Dunkin' Donuts, 424 Main Street, Malden, 7 days, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's a renewal. Paper 354-20, petition, extended hours, license, Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin', 980 Eastern Ave, Malden, 7 days, 4 a.m., 12 a.m. renewal. Paper 355-20, extended hour, license, Dunkin', 57 Eastern Ave, Malden, 24/7. It's renewal. Paper 356-20, petition, extended hours, license, Dunkin', 200 Commercial Street, 7 days, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. a renewal. Paper 357-20, extended hours, license, Dunkin', 617 Broadway, 7 days, 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's renewal. Paper 358-20, extended hours, license, Dunkin', 245 Pleasant Street, 7 days, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's renewal. Amusement license, Dockside, 229 Center Street, Malden, 15 machines. It's a renewal. Paper 360-20, amusement license, Flaming Grill and Buffet, 52 Broadway, 3 machines. It's a renewal. Paper 361-20, amusement machine license, GLS Associates, 50 Holden Street, 9 machines. It's a renewal. Amusement machine license, ITAN, Post 16, paper 362-20, amusement machine license, ITAN's Post 1640 Oakland Street, 4 machines. It's renewal. Paper 363-20, amusement machine license, Loyal Order of the Moose, 562 Broadway, 1 machine. It's renewal. Paper 364-20, amusement machine license, Pearl Street Stations, 53 Summer Street, 2 machines. It's a renewal. Paper 365-20, amusement machine license, Town Line 10 Pin, 665 Broadway, 25 machines. It's a renewal.
On Councilor Murphy's motion to receive the committee report,
Thank you.
clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Betafora,
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Speaker, yes.
Disposition.
Councilor Murphy for the committee.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to speak about the Class 2 licenses first. I'd like to take these little separately according to category. The Class 2 licenses have all been received in accordance with all of the new rules and regulations that we passed last year concerning, bonds and plot plans, applications, etc. We do still have some outstanding issues about plot plans, but that is something that we decided to defer until next July as we're continuing to work on that. All of these licenses or petitions have come into us in accordance with what we have in effect today. They were voted out unanimously by the license committee, and I would ask that these petitions be the Class 2 dealer licenses be petitions be granted by the full city council so they can receive their licenses. So I would ask that we go from committee report 330-20 to 349-20.
Second.
Move those.
Councilor Murphy's motion, seconded by Councilor Anderson. The clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
Kamel, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DeMaria,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Betafora,
Metaphor, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Yes. Councilor Murphy for the rest.
So those licenses are granted, hereby granted. So yes, the next group I'd like to speak to is the extended hours licenses. We did have some discussion on this in committee. I want our councilors to know that I did speak with our attorney, Kate Fallon, and she had given us the guidance that the license committee uses currently for approving different bars and restaurants, et cetera. Because as we talk about extended hours, we know that we're all looking at what is happening with COVID-19 and the governor's executive orders. So following my discussions with her, the license committee agreed to move these out to the full city council based on the following: that we will approve these licenses, but they're approved based on any emergency orders that the governor issues at the time. So if an extended hour license is granted from at 5 a.m., but the emergency order of the governor, decides it's 8 p.m. or 8 a.m., that it would follow whatever the current emergency order is. And that Clerk Lucy has agreed to, with these licenses, put in the actual letter that they need to follow these extended emergency licenses, in that he will include a copy of the emergency licenses as of the date that it is approved by the city council, but it is upon the applicant to make sure that they follow up during the course of the year to make sure that they were in compliance with any emergency order that the governor might, put in effect at that moment. So based upon that, I would ask that the city council approve these petitions for licenses.
Second.
On Councilor Murphy's motion, seconded by Councilor Anderson, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Yes.
Kamel,
No, yes.
Condon,
London, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DiMaria,
Maria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes, but it looks like Steve has his hand raised though.
Okay, go. We'll go to Craig and then.
okay, Spatafora,
From you. Okay. Spatafora, yes. Sorry. Thought I was on mute.
Winslow.
Yeah, I just had want to make a quick statement about after hours. Sometimes, if you're an essential worker and working, jobs that are 24/7, these businesses are important to get your cup of coffee or get a bathroom break. So I hope the governor's orders take into account that we do need some businesses that are operational in off hours to keep our cities moving and our essential workers out there. So, but I vote yes. Thank you.
Councilor Winslow, one of the things that our attorney Fallon did say to me was that, all of these establishments can also, according to the governor's edicts at the emergency order at the moment, they can not do in-service, but they can do takeout or they could do curbside. So, not that that's perfect for them, but at least it does give them a little bit of, if they do DoorDash or Uber Eats, that they can continue along those lines.
Good. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
carry 11-0.
Petitions have been granted. Next, Councilor Murphy.
Amusement machines, we have had no issues. We've spoken to the compliance officers. I would request that the petitions for the amusement licenses, amusement machines be granted.
Second.
On Councilor Murphy's motion, seconded by Councilor Anderson, the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Kamel,
No, yes.
Condon,
London, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
DiMaria,
Maria, yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Spatafora,
Spatafora, yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Sika.
Sika, yes.
Licenses are granted 11-0.
Petitions have been granted. Next order of business.
Docket's clear.
The docket is clear. Councilor Winslow, you were quick with your hand for
Okay.
personal privilege. Go ahead.
Well, I do want to take a moment to say that wish everybody that they stay safe on Thanksgiving, and also to acknowledge that prior to 1632, Malden had primarily been the land of the Pawtucket people, who, along with other natives like the Wampanoags, had to survive several pandemics, starting as early as 1616. 90% of the populations of Native Americans were wiped out. And that created the opportunity for my ancestors to come to Plymouth 400 years ago. And sad to say that in the winter of 1620, not only had the natives suffered pandemics, but the English, half of them did not survive that winter. So it was a very dark winter. We have a very dark winter heading. So do everything you can keep safe. But I do have to say that my own ancestor, Edward Winslow, survived, and his record of the good news from New England, and the fact that after getting support from the natives and having a successful harvest, they were they made it through a tough winter and survived, and were able to kind of entertain the natives as well. So that's the story of the Thanksgiving. So appreciate that. I also appreciate that goodwill resulted in many years of peace. That peace did not survive because later generations did not work hard to keep up that understanding. So it's something that we always have to do. And in this time of, that when we have a new president coming in, we also have to work to understand and bridge the gap. Because if we don't do that, our nation has had times when we've broken down and had difficulties. So just think of all that. Stay safe at Thanksgiving, and we will get through this winter if we stay safe, and just plan to have a great Thanksgiving next year, like I plan to have. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You, Councilor O'Malley?
I have to agree with Councilor Murphy. I think that Councilor Winslow has been joining Toastmasters.
Recommended. I never did.
hard act to follow. Obviously, everyone, wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I am thankful to the Malden community. I am thankful to my colleagues here on the council. I want to wish Emmanuel Marsh and Karen Cologne Hayes. They just had their birthdays on November 20th, and they both have the same day, which I found really surprising. So happy birthday to y'all. And we will be having our second community meeting for the Spot Palm Brook feasibility study on December 9th. It's a Wednesday at 6 p.m. If you'd like to sign up for that, it's going to be via Zoom. You can go to www.cityofmalden.org/Spot Palm Brook Greenway. So it's www.cityofmalden.org/Spot Palm Brook Greenway. And you'll find the link to the first meeting that we had. You'll find a lot of the materials there, and you can sign up for this second meeting. I do want to clarify, I have gotten some comments and questions from the community. At this point, the route is not determined. It is a feasibility study purely, and part of that feasibility study is to investigate property ownership and different environmental conditions that dictate where the path could go. So please come to the meeting. We really want to have your feedback and hear your feedback, which is why we're having 3 community engagement meetings. Thank you again, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Councilor DeMaria.
Thank you, Madam President. I probably have about 8 things I could say, but first and foremost, I wish the great community of Malden a very healthy Thanksgiving holiday. I also want to say thank you to Paul Hammersley for cordially inviting all of us yesterday to view the new Bridge Recovery Center right on Commercial Street. It's just an amazing spot. And we're all, don't want to speak for any of you, but I'm so proud of Paul Hammersley. Third of all, the Malden Warming Center is looking for bottled waters, and they posted something and I shared it today. I believe Councilor Linehan shared it. They're just looking for a case of water. You can leave it right on the side door, very inexpensive, but so if you can find it in your heart to bring a case of water, that would be great. And Bread of Life, unfortunately, Thursday, none of us will be there serving as we are every year. They are serving out of the Baptist Church on Wednesday night, which is tomorrow night. So they'll be getting their Wednesday meal and a Thanksgiving meal. So I will miss everybody Thanksgiving morning. It's part of my DEA with my family, but I'll be thinking of everybody, and thank you all.
Councilor Kamel.
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and in the spirit of that, just talk a minute a little bit about gratitude. And you know, I'm just grateful that I get to live in this community, and that my family, I can bring up my children in this community. Sometimes we lose sight of it as we get impassioned, and we all sort of come at issues, you know, sometimes in a not agreeing way, you know, both in the council and in our greater community. But if, you know, sometimes you step back and you see that as a sign of what it is, folks just really who love this community, who love being here together, who are working towards finding a way to make it better for all of the people who live here. And, you know, I want to take, you know, this year to kind of really think about that and let that sink in for myself. And another thing to be thankful for is, even though this terrible sickness is going to keep a lot of us away from each other physically, at least in this day and age, we have ways that we can sort of, you know, approximate it with video chats and whatnot. So I know, you know, my brother down in Fort Lauderdale, I'll be, you know, seeing him on video, and a few other relatives. So we're thankful for that too. So.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with what everyone has said. I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, and it certainly is a trying time for all of us trying to figure out, how we celebrate Thanksgiving without all of our family around us. I hope everybody finds a way to do that and communicate in a way that brings them happiness and peace and feels blessed at the end of the day. But I also, which is a little bit digressing a little bit from the tone at the moment, and I would like to, Madam President, if you don't mind, I would like to invite Councillor Crowe into my speaking space at the moment, because this is something I think that you folks are going to start to see on Facebook tonight. It's on the city website. And she and I have been working diligently on this for a couple of years. And, we have both posted on our Facebook pages that, we're very excited to announce that, Malden is a Drive 25 city. And folks are going to start to see lawn signs, which we have both asked if people would like them. And just for all of my fellow councilors, if your constituents would like a Drive 25 lawn sign, we have ordered 200 of them that are going to be placed around the city to alert folks coming into our city and also our own constituents that, we have been for a while. We just had needed to get everything together, signs posted on the entrances to the cities, et cetera, working with the police department, that this is coming. It's up and coming. And it's something that I think, every single counselor has received, somebody's putting up a Drive 25 sign. Yay. Whoever did that. Thank you, Councilor Winslow. I think that might've been you.
Yeah.
Everybody has, I'm sure we've all gotten the complaints about speeding, et cetera. This is something that, Councilor Crowe and I might have sponsored it, but I want to go on record tonight to say that the entire city council was behind this when we did it. So we couldn't have done it without everybody who's here tonight, on the council. And I want to thank you all for your support of this. But, we're trying to get these signs out around the community. So, if the councilors want to, Councilor Crowe has 50, I have 50, and there's 100 at the parking garage at the moment that are going to be placed on islands around the city. And, if any of you want to grab a few to, put in certain view spots, that would be wonderful. We also have a press release going in the Advocate on Friday. And on December 14th and 11th, we have a banner on the Advocate headline that will announce this. And also in the December water bills, there's a buck slip going out. And, Ron Hogan, there's the implementation team, is Ron Hogan, Ron Cochran, Lieutenant Tuxbury from the police department, Yum Lip. Everybody's working in concert with the mayor's office, who has been totally in support of this. So, we're asking for, everyone in the community to kind of buy into this initiative and, not just an initiative, but, buy into the fact that we are a Drive 25 community, and all of our surrounding communities are Drive 25 communities too. So it will just kind of, solidify the effect that people should be driving through, Melrose, Malden, Everett, Medford, et cetera, in, Saugus in a manner that's appropriate for, our citizens. There's statistics that show that driving at 25 reduces fatalities, and that, it's just the way to go. So, we're very excited about this, and looking to just really kind of outreach. Councilor Crowe and I have started to post things on different community forums. Would appreciate you pushing them out to your local, networks that you have, within your ward. To just let everybody know, because we want to make sure that, the public is fully aware of this. Enforcement will not start until the actual signs that come into our community are posted. So any, surrounding community from, Melrose, Medford, Everett, Malden, Melrose, Everett, I'm trying to think, yeah, Melrose, Everett, Bedford, I think Saugus might touch this a little bit, have signs that said Malden is a Drive 525 community. So, you know, I know you're all in support of this because you voted for it. So, Councilor Crowe probably taken way more time to say that. And I know I'm not sure if you're next in line, but President's.
She is next in line.
Councilor Crowe speak.
Yes, she's next in line anyway.
Thank you.
I really don't have a lot to add. It has been a long time coming. You know, it's been something that's been discussed, and, you know, I've gotten petitions to slow down some of the traffic over the years, and it's not quite as easy. So this sort of, just a quick back, just sort of started many years ago when Senator Jalen from Somerville tried to make the whole state a Drive 25. And she really got a lot of pushback from the western part of the state where there were more farm land and open areas, and they didn't think they needed Drive 25. So I actually went with Kathleen Manning Hall, and at one point testified in front of the State House, and it really didn't go anywhere. And finally, through a lot of work from a lot of our own delegation, it was a local option that we could take, that we could take to make it a Drive 25. So we did do that, and really just passing something and then expecting everybody to know what to do with it. We all know it doesn't really work. So that's why it sort of took a long time. We had a couple false starts just to kind of make sure that we definitely get the information out to people so they're not surprised when they get stopped or get a ticket for going over 25. So anyone that needs signs, as Councilor Murphy just mentioned, let us know. We'll make sure you get them, and if you have a good location. So, but on a different note, since I am next there, you know, Malden today, we took a couple of small steps, and so it's been a busy day in Malden. But as people might have seen earlier, Representative Altrino announced that Malden Police Department was awarded $39,000, a little more than that, from Edward J. Byrne grant through the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. And you know what that funds in, actually a twofold kind of thing, but it's going to fund the purchasing of a message board, and it also is going to support training and consultation for the police department with Elliott Community Mental Health. And again, I think this is the first step in implementing a jail diversion program where a mental health professional will work alongside the police in support of residents, getting the right supports, if it's beds or services, as opposed to simply a criminal justice avenues. So if you remember when at budget time, Chief Molis talked about the fact that, you know, often the police calls have a mental health component. And soon after this grant opportunity became available, it was a very tight turnaround time. And I didn't even know about the grant. It went into my spam. But when I recognized the opportunity, I reached out to the mayor and to the police chief, who were incredibly supportive and welcomed the opportunity. I tell you the story because the grant was already written for the message board, but in 2 days, we revamped and resubmitted. And again, I tell you that because the credit really goes to the mayor and the police chief, and a huge kudos to Captain Gatcom and Maria Luis for being willing to pivot with me as I did some of the writing and revamped that grant. And together we got it done. And today we learned that we got the grant. So again, it's one small step towards doing some work in the police department and ensuring that mental health services are available to residents as opposed to criminal justice avenues. So I'm very excited about that. And sorry, just hit something. But so again, another small step in Malden, I think, is we keep taking these steps, we keep moving forward. And so That's it. But I just want to wish everybody a very happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving.
Councilor Sika?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, because Councilor Crowe does so much for this community.
I've been complaining about this for a while, so
No,
that's.
I'm sorry. No, I'm just sorry. Because you don't give yourself enough credit. And she is like one of the most effective behind the scenes people I have ever met in my life. And she might be talking about that little grant, but as councilors, we talk about the well-being of the city. That's only one of 3 grants that she wrote. Okay, that will help our students. So Councilor Crowe, I'd like you to elaborate on the other 2 grants a little bit, because I think the community needs to know. I know, you have an impact as the YWCA person, but as a city councilor, what you're doing to help this community. And, and the folks who maybe need to go to work and can't deal with remote learning, and what you've done and the grants you've written, because you had a lot of good news today, and that was only 1 of 3.
Really quickly, I'm only going to talk about one of them because the other one I got to verify first. But it also was on social media that Malden was the recipient of $357,700 in CARES Act funding, and that came about actually, and it was really designated for organizations that are providing remote learning supports and are also Department of Early Education here approved or licensed to do so. So the initial letter went to the mayor that Malden would be getting that many funds, and then there was a whole process. So when I had reached out to the mayor about sort of how we're going to, that could move forward, he, designated me as the lead. And so I reached out to all the others that were allowed to, that have been licensed or approved to do remote learning. And those that are doing it, that can possibly take additional children, or that have incredible extra expenses. For all of them, they're nonprofits, so it's not like there's a large margin. So the money will go to actually 5 organizations. Every organization that said I am doing it, I will continue to do it. I have had additional expenses, got all the money that they actually requested based on the number of students that they asked. Again, just to support the remote learning, received $357,700, and I do believe that it really goes to the equity, because those families that we serve that really cannot afford full day care, that have to go to work and might not have jobs that would allow them to do that, or the family support, it really does help us move all of our community forward.
So if the 3rd grant comes through, you've brought over $500,000 into the community today.
I think somebody else is next.
Thank you, guys. Councilor Spatafora.
Really? I have to go after a grant reduction of 25 miles an hour. Pilgrims are now out $500,000 in grant money. This is going to be a tough one. Well, congratulations to the councilors and those achievements. Seriously, Councilor Crowe and Councilor Murphy, the 25, that's, I think every councilor knows, speeding is kind of the most paramount and repetitive complaint we get. So it's good to see that. All kidding around though, it is Thanksgiving. I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. It's, Thanksgiving is one of those holidays unlike others where you're not gift giving, but you're actually supposed to get together with family and friends and celebrate and eat. And unfortunately in the COVID world, we can't do that. So it is certainly a different type of holiday this year, but to the residents of Malden, There's a lot to be grateful of, even though we are in this unique time frame. And like Council DeMaria said, that the bread of life is certainly something I like to do with my children every Thanksgiving, and we deliver the meals, and that's something I will miss. But we're going to donate some turkeys this year, my family, to them, to make sure that there is plenty of food for the residents who need that type of support during this year. So I know Council Anderson is going to start talking about his favorite time of the year, and he's got a couple things going on. But I also want to let you know too, in Ward 3, we do the annual tree lighting ceremony at the Fells Mere Pond. And given this year, I had a lot of great ideas to really get this one to the next level, but given it was COVID, it just was not worth the risk to have a large audience, even outside, especially since Malden's gone red. So we decided to do, and when I mean we, I'll give my wife credit. We're going to do this virtually on Facebook Live. We're going to light the tree at 5:30, 6 o'clock this coming Saturday. And when I mean we, Council Linehan has joined the festivities this year, so I appreciate her help and support. So at 6 o'clock this coming Saturday, we will light it virtually on Facebook Live. But for those children in the city of Malden, we will be giving out, myself and Council Linehan. We're going to set a table up at the Fellsmere Pond on Savin Street between 12 and 2. And we'll have, I think he'll be in other parts of the city that day too, but we're going to borrow him for a couple minutes. And he'll be the man in the red suit will be there to help us distribute. We're going to give out some masks, courtesy of the city of Malden, as well as cups, just paper cups, and packets of hot chocolate, so the children can watch and the family members can watch the tree lighting ceremony that night in their home. So please come and join us. There is a flyer on the city social media website. The mayor will be there as well. I wish we could do what we wanted to do, but this will still allow us to have some type of holiday cheer during Saturday to light the tree. So once again, happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a safe holiday. And thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson.
Yes, this is my happy time of year. Thank you, Councilor Spatafora, for giving me that lead in. The city's not going to hold its annual parade of holiday tradition this year because it just doesn't make safe sense to have people standing along the parade route or gathering together at the reviewing stand. But Santa Claus has decided that he is going to go through Ward 7 this year. This, as a matter of fact, it's going to be this weekend. Because the streets are narrower this time of year, with people being home and working from home, and because we haven't declared one-sided parking, Santa Claus will not be going on his float this year, but instead a fancily decorated pickup truck will be driving Santa Claus up and down the streets. So just picture this: above the sides of the pickup truck, the side walls, will be a platform where Santa Claus will sit. And Santa Claus will be wearing a mask and gloves, and we're not going to allow. We're going to make sure we have social distancing between the children that want to wave to Santa from the sidewalk or from their porch. We'll have our elves that will be distributing candy that'll be in a individually wrapped bag, so that there's no hand touching and no possibility of spreading this virus any further. But we do want the folks who have been isolated for these many, many months to be able to get out and enjoy some semblance of the holiday season. So for the folks in Ward 7, look for Santa Claus going up and down your streets, both Saturday, this Saturday, November 28th, and Sunday, November 29th, beginning at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll be running through until dark. So look out for Santa Claus bring your cameras out as we stop along the way and wave and say hello. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, another tough act to follow. I'll be brief. I just wanted to echo what many others have said about the importance of, having an attitude of gratitude this year. Like Councilor DiMaria, I will be, for the first time in many years, not going to the Bread of Life in the morning on Thanksgiving. It'll be much lower key year. I'm going to miss seeing so many of you. I do just want to shout out some of my colleagues on the council and some of the amazing community members, especially in Malden Neighbors Helping Neighbors, that helped to deliver so many Thanksgiving meals this past week. We definitely have a higher need in the community this year, and it's been really inspiring to see so many of you watching step up and try to fill that need. And I'm sure that'll continue this winter. So, I guess I would say that it'll be a different year, but hopefully we don't have too much longer with a lot of these restrictions in place, but we can do the right thing over Thanksgiving and keep one another safe. Hopefully we'll have just as safe a Christmas season and New Year as well. And then I just wanted to also, encourage folks to come down to the pond Saturday. It's great to see so many socially distant events happening. We definitely talk a lot in my house about how Santa's going to be able to make it through the season with COVID this year. So I'm glad to be able to report to my little one that Santa and his helpers are going to be making a few appearances around the city. So thank you all.
Thank you, Councilor Linehan. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. Congrats to Councilor Murphy and Councilor Crowe, and I'd like to have my fair share of those signs. As you know, I have a lot of streets that it's a cutoff to get to the Fells Way. So I have a lot of problems with people speeding down those streets. Also, I'd just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and please stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. And on behalf of the chair, I too want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You do.
To adjourn.
It's only 10:30. Okay. So on Councilor Anderson's motion to adjourn, the clerk, do we have to do a roll call?
No.
Everybody.
We're good.
Aye?
We're good.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Everybody.
Holidays.
Night.
Right.
Good night.